Well, good afternoon, everyone. That's a way to start off the day with a cough, right? I'm sorry. It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I am Brian Wilson. Apparently, to Matt Murphy, I am the ever-surprising Brian Wilson. That's what he says. He says that every day he listens in, he's surprised at what I have to say. I don't know why. I am rarely surprised at anything that he says.
Well, he's a simple fella.
No. I don't know. But I know that's the great thing about this radio station is that we have people on the air, and everybody comes at things at a slightly different way. You're not going to hear, we used to hear this all the time. Well, you're getting the company memo on what to say. Well, that's just ridiculous. And, nobody has ever handed me a memo on what to say. If it's good, it's me. If it's bad, it's me. If it's mediocre, it's me. But we don't compare notes. In fact, we very rarely have a chance to chat. That's why I really love the new thing we're doing where we chat with Matt. Ooh, that works, doesn't it?
Nice.
Chat with Matt.
I'm going to have to trademark that one.
Oh, listen, you tell him that, that's what we are officially calling it now. Is he still there? I know he hangs around.
Yeah, he's hanging around. He's having his lunch. What is that stuff he drinks?
Yeah, it's like a weight loss shake. I don't know.
Awful smelling. But anyway, yeah, he's still hanging around.
Yeah. We'll tell him it's officially now Brian and the chat with Matt.
Got it.
I like that. All right. So there's that. A little programming note. I will not be here tomorrow, and I apologize profusely, but I'm going to be going to the doctor tomorrow, and they're going to, I don't know how else to say it, they're going to operate on my heart. It's not a the like cracking open the ribs and actually my heart's in pretty good shape. It's just it doesn't beat right. And, it's like, I got rhythm. I mean, my heart has no rhythm whatsoever. Apparently, and apparently I'm told that this has been something that's got, has been with me all my life, but it's gotten a little worse.
You need a new drummer. That's what it sounds like.
I need a thumper that consistently thumps, because they tell me that my heart is working against itself and that I'm really only getting about 50% of what my heart can pump. And they don't want to stress out the heart, and so they say, let's get this thing straightened out. So tomorrow, I mean, this is what it is. It's like they're gonna. This is great. I found out today. 05:30.
Ooh.
I got to be at the hospital.
Ooh.
In loose-fitting clothes at 05:30.
Wow.
That's Dan Miranda's time. Yikes.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's just ugly, because I haven't done that in a while. But
you
got to get up, you got to get all the way downtown, and then checked in by 5:30, and then they will take me into the operating room, and they will stick a catheter in a place where a catheter should really never be stuck. And then they will work that catheter up through the network of veins and arteries until it gets into the right chamber of my heart. And then they're going to take microwaves, and they're just going to zap me. Yeah.
Wow. Ooh.
Oh. That's not, I don't, yeah, I know. That's what they're going to do. And then they will pull that sucker out of there, and then roll me out in the hallway and let me wake up, because I'll be out for all of this.
Thankfully. Yeah, I don't think you'd want to be awake for that.
That's right. And so, this is actually, it's outpatient, in and out, and I don't know, maybe a couple 2-3 hours after they check and let things percolate for a while to make sure you're okay, then they send you home. I'll be home tomorrow, probably mid-morning. And they say that, there's a very good likelihood that my heart will start beating regularly after this, and that I go from 50% heart function to 100% heart function. I didn't even know that I was missing 50% of my heart, but I was.
You're not going to know what to do.
I was going through life half-hearted is what I was doing. And it's gotten me, since they got the diagnosis, it's gotten me out of an awful lot of work around the house.
Oh, I bet.
I mean,
Yeah.
every time, a Cabana wife says, we need, and I go, oh, honey, I just
It's
have half a heart.
She's not feeling up to
Take
it.
mercy on me. My heart, it's there only 50%.
Mm-hmm.
And so she has been actually pretty gracious about it. But they say when I come back, I'll no longer be half-hearted. But I may still be half-assed, and we'll figure that out.
Well, and then they'll just give you a couple of more zaps.
Yeah. Oh, not in there. You don't want any zaps. Ow, that hurts. No, listen, it's all good. It's not a big deal. It's not like classic heart surgery where they're going into. In fact, they did an MRI of my heart in advance of this, and they said everything's good. No clogs, heart strong. Get this thing straightened out, and go on to live a very long and fruitful life.
You'll be running marathons before you know it.
Yeah, I listen. I'm anxious to see whether or not the things that I thought. Like I go out work in the yard, and I get a little tired. Working a couple hours in the hot sun, I'd be beat. And I thought, well, I used to go all day long and never miss a beat. There was an old saying of me when I was at Fox's: "You give this guy a canteen, he's good for 30 miles." And that was I was pretty indefatigable. Try saying that
That's
word
a
real
tough
quick.
one.
Yeah, indefatigable. And I could work all day and into the evening and just give me water and point me in the right direction. But I thought, well, you're just getting older, Wilson. That's just all it is to it. And who knew that that I had gotten to the point where my heart was only pumping at 50% efficiency.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, it's not good. But a couple of good zaps, just bam, bam, bam,
That's all you need.
and I'll be. I'm sure glad I'm going to be asleep for all of this. So don't worry, everything's fine. They're going to do 7 of these tomorrow.
I'll just line them up, huh?
Line them up.
So you'll be first in line, I would assume, then, right?
Listen, I am. I called them today because they usually call late in the afternoon and tell you what time to show up for these things, and I, of course, can't take phone calls when I'm doing the radio show. So I called them. I had a number to call, and I got a number, and I said, "What time are they coming?" They said, "Oh, lucky you! You're the early bird patient."
Hopefully the doc doesn't have a late night tonight.
Yeah. I'm hoping that the doc goes and gets a good night's sleep, and I don't know. He'll roll in about 6. They'll probably have me prepped and ready to go.
Yeah.
That's so it'll be. But anyway, I will be gone tomorrow. But this is how inconsequential this really is in the grand scheme of things. I'll be back on Thursday.
Yeah, good.
In and out. Heart zapped. Hopefully back to full function.
Excellent.
All right. So there you go. Don't worry. It's all going to be good. And I apologize. I think Desmond's going to be here tomorrow.
Yep. Des
In my
Dickerson will
stead.
be here. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Des is going to be in here. And he'll do a good job. And, I know that you will give him your ear and your courtesy because he's coming in to fill in for a 4-hour show, and that's not an easy thing to do. So we look forward to having Des on, and I'll be back on Thursday. All right. I have some things that I want to talk about. I've talked about this so long, I don't know I have time to do it all. I wanted to start out today talking about this thing that things are going on at the southern border. We there is a thing that happens, I think, sometimes in the arc of a story. There's a sameness that starts to wear people, and they get fatigued, and they don't want to hear about it. And I think that has happened to some degree with the crisis on the border. We know what it is. We know who is causing it. We are aware of all that, but I don't think that we should take our eyes away from it because I think it's still a problem. And it's going to continue to be a problem. Listen to these stories. State troopers in Texas have rescued more than 900 smuggled children at the southern border. The fact that the border is open gives an opening to the bad guys to take advantage of the chaos. And that's exactly what they do. Through Texas Border Security Mission Operation Lone Star, Texas DPS troopers and this is separate and apart from everything that the feds are doing, have rescued over 900 children being smuggled into and through Texas from Mexico by human traffickers. 900 precious children. Among them was a recent rescue in Maverick County in Eagle Pass, Texas, where troopers found a 5-year-old Honduran girl who had been smuggled into Texas by 3 adult women who were not related to her. The women found the girl in Piedras Negras, Mexico, then brought her with them as they crossed illegally into Texas between ports of entry. Authorities said she was being brought in to reunite with her mother. However, her mother had died 3 days prior. The girl told troopers her father was still in Honduras, so she was turned over to Border Patrol. In recent traffic stops in neighboring Kinney County on a major local smuggling route, troopers pulled over a driver in a black GMC Sierra. The driver, a Mexican national who was illegally in the U.S., and he was coming from Houston to pick up friends. The trooper observed 6 passengers in the rear of the truck and later learned they were all in the U.S. illegally, including 2 children. When asked how the driver was related to another passenger in the car, he said they were just friends. When asked what his friend's name was, the driver said he only knew his nickname. What about the people in the back seat, the officer asked. They were his friends too, but he also admitted he did not know their names or where they live. When the trooper asked another passenger if he knew who the driver was and what his name was, he said the same thing, a friend. Later on through the conversation, the driver admitted that someone from Mexico texted him an address to pick up a group of people who had illegally entered Texas. They're not in the country legally then. Are you being paid to take them somewhere? The driver said he wasn't being paid, but all smugglers are paid several $1,000s per person. Wow, did you know that? Depending on where they are taking them, law enforcement officers have explained that Houston is the primary human trafficking hub in Texas. So this is happening. 900 children captured and or not captured, but found by the DPS as part of their efforts, separate and apart from everything that the Border Patrol is doing down there. It's tragic. It's tragic what is going on because of the Biden policies and the chaos that ensues on the border. Children are being smuggled into this country. It's a human trafficking disaster. Innocent little lives, who are there, no telling what kind of trauma and tragedy they are headed for once they get into the United States. But that's what's happening. That's what's happening as a result of the Biden border policies. Now, there's more I want to talk about with regard to the border because I'm getting a late start. We'll take a break here. I'll come back on the other side of the commercial break and talk about some other things that are just going to shock you about what's happening at the border and the reaction Democrats are having in some cities. It's now 20 minutes past the hour. Let me tell you about the folks over at DT McCall. These are good people, good, solid people. And they've been around for over 100 years at DT McCall and Sons. 100 years. Think about that. If you don't treat people right over 100 years, somebody's going to be on to you. I think they have a great reputation of treating people right. And I think they're fair with you and they are honest. I mean, for example, have you ever purchased an appliance from one of the big box stores? And then they ask you things like, well, the cords and the hoses are going to be extra. Did you know that? No. Well, I need those. Okay. Did you want it delivered? Oh, of course you want it delivered. Do you want the old thing hauled away? Of course you want it all hauled away. But all those things get added on. And then you find that big box price that they quoted you was not such a good price after all. DT McCall's, they just do it differently. They just give you an honest price. They will not charge you extra for delivery, haul away, or the cords and hoses, and you're going to be well pleased, I think, at that price. Whenever possible, DT McCall uses locally manufactured products right here in the state of Tennessee, so we're keeping the dollars local. 5 convenient locations in Middle Tennessee. Just go to their website for more information, dtmccall.com.
A police chase in Mount Juliet, the future of abortion rights at stake in Ohio, and a Baltimore man missing, maybe off of the coast of Mexico. Those stories and more coming up 30 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock. I'm Mac Morey right here, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, it is 25 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on this Tuesday, the 8th day of August. It's 8/8/2023. And we're happy that you're with us on this Tuesday as we bring you news and information. I was talking about the border situation and this tragic, tragic story about the DPS, the Department of Public Safety down in Texas, and how they are finding so many children, 900 smuggled children at the southern border, and that's just the State Patrol. I mean, the Border Patrol no doubt has others, and who knows how many slip through. Tragic. When you open a border, it's a magnet for a lot of bad things to happen. Drugs are coming across. Human trafficking is a problem, of course, and it's not a good national security situation. We don't know who's coming across the border because we can't keep up with all of it. This story from Fox News, images show men armed with rifles and body armor coming across the southern border. Law enforcement sources tell Fox News that the three men were spotted on Saturday evening by cameras and were seen carrying rifles, wearing body armor as they moved through the brush. I mean, they're coming, and they're, I think, probably as well equipped, if not better equipped, than the people who are down there trying to guard the border. It is, I mean, when you look at these pictures and what they're carrying, they are well armed, and it's like they're ready for a fight. So, I mean, that is going on. I mean, you know, these people who are in these cartels are, I mean, they're well equipped, they're well funded, and they're making by the way, every time somebody comes across the border, it's ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. Money that goes straight to the cartels. We are making the cartels stronger. And by the way, giving them enough chaos that they can just shove the fentanyl across the border when nobody's looking. Ends up in your backyard, and people in your neighborhood and people in your town are dying because of the policies. Let's not forget what's going on down there. Democrats, man, I'm telling you, this is so rich. I don't know what to tell you. We've already told you about how, you know, the mayor of New York, you know what New York, 93,000 migrants have now arrived in New York City. And the city's like, you know, it was a sanctuary city. You said, if you come, we will throw our arms open and welcome you. You will find sanctuary here in New York City. No more. They want them gone. They want them gone. They got 104 million, and I think it's enough to last 14 days. They got $104 million from the federal government, and it's enough to last 14 days taking care of 93,000 migrants who are in this country illegally. Unbelievable. Massachusetts governor, this is again another Fox News story. The Massachusetts governor declares the state of emergency due to the surge of migrants and calls for federal action. Do you think that Boston wasn't a sanctuary city? Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey declared a state of emergency in the liberal state over a surge of migrants that she says has left social services overwhelmed, calling for more funding and federal action. Healey, a Democrat, announced that a state of emergency exists due to rapid and unabating increases in the number of families with children and pregnant people, many of them newly arriving migrants and refugees living within the state but without the means to secure safe shelter in our communities. Oh, but you wanted them to come. The state says there are nearly 5,600 families, or more than 20,000 people, in the state shelter system. And it's bad for them. Well, you know what? Maybe you should have thought about that before you cavalierly decided you were going to become a sanctuary city. But see, this is a bad problem for the Biden administration. And now even Democrats are looking at this and they're going, you know, this is not working out so well for us. And this is all due to the Biden policies. I think this is probably one of the biggest issues that could help turn voters away from the Democrats in the 2024 election. And it's just, look, it got better for a little while, but it was artificially better. In other words, they thought they were going to have a big surge, so all of a sudden the Mexican government got involved and said, well, we'll slow things down a little for you while you get caught up. But as soon as everybody left the border, it went right back to being what it is. Don't forget the border. Don't forget. It's 30 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock.
It's 3:30. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. 83 degrees right now in Nashville, and the chance for severe storms coming tomorrow afternoon with strong winds possible. Traffic weather coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, Mount Juliet police were involved in a car chase after pursuing a stolen vehicle. A spike strip was deployed, and the chase ended on I-40 West near mile marker 228. 3 people were in the car, according to Channel 4, one of which ran away on foot. Police still searching for that suspect, and they say he's a man wearing a blue shirt with dark pants. Anyone with information is asked to call Metro Police. And voters in Ohio heading up to the polls in a special election that could decide the fate of abortion rights in the state. Ann Flaherty has more.
State officials say turnout in Ohio's special election has been unusually high. Nearly 700,000 residents voted early before polls officially opened this morning. That's almost 5 times the number of ballots cast a year ago in the state's August primaries, and it far outpaces turnout for Ohio's May election. Polls close tonight at 7:30.
And a Baltimore man now missing after authorities believe his boat capsized off of the coast of Mexico. Derek Dennis.
A statement from the Mexican Navy confirming an apparent tragedy in the waters south of Acapulco, Mexico. A sailboat with a Baltimore man on board, identified as Donald Lawson, is believed to have capsized 275 miles offshore. The statement says Lawson left Acapulco on July 5th, headed for Panama, but called his wife a few days into the journey, saying he was having mechanical problems and was turning around. When his wife didn't hear from him for a few more days, she called the Maryland Coast Guard, who contacted Mexican authorities. Weather conditions have prevented a complete search, but authorities say they've located the vessel, but so far, no sign of Lawson.
And that is the latest news, weather, and traffic coming up next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
I want to tell you about the Nashville Armory Ranges, and if you don't know, there are actually 2 locations for your convenience. Well, the Nashville Armory is at 4290 Kenilwood Drive in Nashville, 15,000 square feet, which combines retail, classrooms, of course, pistol and rifle-rated ranges, so you can learn to become proficient and stay that way. The second location is the Franklin Range at 390 South Winds Drive. There you'll find 10 state-of-the-art shooting ranges equipped with automated target control, custom shooting stalls that provide a virtually private shooting experience. And the folks who work there, well, they pride themselves on hiring folks with the expertise to advise experienced shooters, even the most experienced. But they also have the patience to guide those who are new to the 2A world. You're not going to find any attitude. You're not going to find any pressure. Gunsmithing, by the way, back at the Nashville range, if you're buying your first gun or adding to the collection, you'll find a wide selection of new and pre-owned firearms, suppressors, optics, apparel, shooting accessories. Look, this is the place you go to buy, this is the place you go to train, and this is where you will learn to become a very good shot. To learn more, go to armoryranges.com. That's armoryranges.com, and let them know your friend at Radio Buddy sent you. It's 38 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and I am glad that you are with us here for the drive. I've been thinking a lot about the special session and what we are going to be dealing with in the days ahead here in the state of Tennessee. And as you know, yesterday, the big news was that the Tennessee GOP Executive Committee voted unanimously over the weekend to make sure that we don't, making the suggestion to the governor that they not hold the special session. And so I'm trying to do two things at once. So here we go. Okay, sorry. I can't do that. I can't multitask at all. Ask my wife. She'll tell you. But here's the thing. I think it's a bad idea. They think it's a bad idea. And from everything I can tell, the members of the state legislature think that this special session is a bad idea. And the vast majority of people that are within the sound of my voice believe this is a bad idea. I understand that you have a situation where you you feel like, well, something bad happened in the Covenant shooting and we've got to deal with it in a special session. No, really, you don't. You really don't, unless you have something that's going to make it better. And his piece of legislation is DOA. His idea about he calls it, he says it's not a red flag law, but it is a red flag law, and it's DOA. I can't find any Republican in the Republican supermajority who thinks that the governor's legislation is a good idea. I could be wrong, but I think the vast majority of folks are saying, no, that's not going anywhere. I've heard as much from leadership. It's not going anywhere. And so what are we doing? Well, we're doing it because, well, we said we were going to do it, and we, and we, it's been a big emotional deal, and, we must do something to protect our cushy jobs because, a bad thing happened and we have to do something about it. No, you don't. Bad things happen from time to time. Now, there may be something that can be done, but I don't think it can be done until we know of the motivation of the shooter and we have the manifesto and we know all that, and that's not going to happen. Lawyers are deeply involved in that to the point where it's going to be a year or more, if ever, we see the manifesto. They need, the judge is just letting this thing wander all over the place. The judge needs to just step in there and make some tough decisions and get that thing released. That's what needs to happen. But that doesn't seem to be what is happening. It is tied up, and more lawyers you can, you have 2 or 3 lawyers on a thing, that slows things down. I think there's something, I don't know, there's dozens. I mean, half of the legal bar in the state of Tennessee is involved in this case now. So that's an exaggeration. But, there's a lot of lawyers involved. Everybody's got a lawyer and pulling at this thing in different ways, so we're not going to see that. So what are we doing this for? We're doing it because we want to feel better, that we tried, that we did something after a horrible thing happened. Yes, it's horrible. It's tragic. I grant you that. But does that mean that we go in and make a bunch of laws in an emotional reaction? That's just one part of it. Here's the other part of it. The Democrats are going to make a mockery out of anything that you try to do. The Democrats are going to come in here and they're going to stir up trouble. And they're going to come in and they're going to create protest. It's the Jones and Pearson gang again. They're going to be at it. And there are these professional protesters that travel, and I don't know who they're funded by, but I have a feeling I know, but it's hard to prove. But they just seem to show up. They have no job except to be professional protesters. And they've already had meetings to discuss how they're going to do this. Their plan is to disrupt this special session and to make a mockery of the process. And we've caught them. There are tapes where we have caught them talking about this. So I'm going to say it again. Governor Lee, you have not issued your proclamation as yet. We have a date, the 21st of August, but you haven't yet given the official proclamation and the call for action. And what I would say to people within the sound of my voice, if you feel like you agree with me that we need not to rush headlong into this, we can wait till January. No need for a special session. No need for the expense. No need for the chaos. And the thing that the governor says he wants most of all, quite frankly, it's dead on arrival. I'm sorry. I know DOA when I see it, and that measure is DOA. Not going anywhere. So here's what I'm going to suggest. I don't like to do this, but I think that if you feel as I do, if you feel passionately that this is just a waste of time, that this is not the right thing to do, then why don't you call the governor's office and express that? As it turns out, I happen to have the phone number. 615-741-2001. Again, 615-741-2001. I mean, if you don't agree, if you think I'm wrong, that's fine. You don't have to call. But I have a feeling there are an awful lot of people within the sound of my voice who think this is a horrible idea. So 615-741-2001. Express to the governor and his staff. Just, you don't have to be ugly about it. Just say, look, I think the special session is a bad idea. Let him know. Maybe, I don't know how this happens where a politician can be so insulated that they are not in touch with the people who elected them. And by the way, this is what you get. There's a certain downside, people, to term limits. We have a term-limited governor. Well, what does that mean? Well, I mean, he doesn't have to worry about getting reelected. So what does that mean? It means he doesn't really have to listen to you and your opinion about this. Look, I think the governor is a good man. I think he's a moral man. I think he's a very decent man. I think his religion is extremely important to him. His faith is very important to him. But I think that he's lost sight of what real Tennesseans want, and I don't think they want this special session. I don't think I'm wrong about this. So again, if you're listening, write it down, 615-741-2001. Let the governor know how you feel about this. I would say call your state legislator, your state senator, or your state rep, or maybe the leadership. But as far as I can tell, they don't really want to do this either. So let's not irritate them. This is all the governor's doing. He's the only one who can call this special. Well, that's not true, but he has the ability to call the special session. He's the one driving the train right now. And I would simply say, let's let it go. Let's move on. Let's, try to take this up in January. Maybe by January, something will become more clear. Maybe the passions will have cooled. Maybe we can look at these things in a level-headed way. But I don't know. By the way, this is from the Tennessee Star. Governor Lee announces staff shakeup, including new policy director, press secretary, and senior advisor. Tennessee Governor Lee recently announced multiple transitions to his leadership team, including his appointments of a new policy director, press secretary, and senior advisor. Michael Hendricks serves as a special advisor to Lee, will succeed Tony Najad, I believe it is, as the governor's new policy director. That's effective September 1. Hendricks was previously a senior fellow and the director of state and local policy at the Manhattan Institute, as well as the senior director of research and emerging issues at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation before joining the Lee administration. Elizabeth Lane Johnson was appointed as Lee's new press secretary effective August 14th. That would be, I think, 1 week before the special session. Johnson currently serves as press secretary for Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti, and by the way, I think he's done a great job in getting his ideas out there. So I think she's doing a good job. Previous experience working in broadcast journalism and service with Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Graduated from the University of Alabama. And the current press secretary, Jade Byers, will transition to serve as Lee's senior communication officer. She has served in the Lee administration since its primary run in 2018. So there you have it. Some changes. I don't think earth-shattering changes, but changes nonetheless at the governor's office, especially among his press operation. All right, look. Again, with all due respect that I have for the governor, with all due respect that I have for his desire to be compassionate, I mean, the people who died, there are connections to Governor Lee and his family. He knew some of these people, and it's a horrible thing what has happened. But that doesn't mean we need to rush headlong into bad policy. This doesn't mean we need to run headlong into spending money that could easily, not be spent, and we can wait till January. So again, I'm just going to throw it out there. if you think I'm right, and you're entitled, absolutely entitled to disagree with me, but I don't think that I can find many people who disagree with me. The entire executive committee of the Tennessee GOP has asked him not to do this. State legislators have asked him not to do this. But if he calls it, it's going to happen, and then who knows what the process will be. I'll tell you what I think it will be. I think it will be rapidly crafted legislation that is crafted among high emotion, and then on top of that, a big old dollop of chaos and protest by the Democrats who want to take full advantage of this thing. Don't give them that platform. Don't give them that platform. Just wait till January. Push it off. And that number, if you agree with me, to call the governor is 615-741-2001. 50 minutes now past the hour.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. There was a recent study by J.D. Power looking at how happy investors were with their advisors, and it wasn't pretty. What they found was only 11% of the respondents said that they were getting comprehensive financial planning, that the fees were clear, and that they felt that the advisor was acting in their best interest. Not a good picture, 11%. Now, one of the things that we do is we do comprehensive planning. We fit all of those bills, number one. But one of the things I want to talk about is in the financial planning process, what I think it ought to look like and what is available that people aren't getting. And one of the things is called probability analysis. So in essence, this is what we're talking about. We're trying to accumulate money for retirement, put money aside, hoping that we'll have enough so that we can have income throughout retirement. And what we find is that people have Social Security, they have pensions in their financial plan, and they also have investments. Now, with their investments, we want to do something very specific that it really requires quite an academic background to do this. And this is where we look at the cost of capital of the various things that you own in your investment portfolio. It sounds scary, it sounds really detailed, but here's the idea. Is if we look at various asset classes like large stocks and small stocks and large value and bonds and so on and so forth, we know the expected return or the cost that these entities have to pay to use your money. So we can come up with an expected return of the portfolio. We can also come up with what's called standard deviation, or how much that portfolio return may deviate from the expected return. Now that's a whole other video, but what I want to do is show you how we use this. If I look at a financial plan and I say, well, you got this area, this area, this area, what I can do is I can say, well, based on when you want to retire, this is how much income you can take, and here's the likelihood of being able to have this income survive throughout your entire life. And the way it works is this. If I take a portfolio and say, there's the expected return, I can look at history and say, well, the way your portfolio is designed, how might your one-year returns vary from the expected return, the long-term expected return? Well, what we know from academic research is that portfolios well designed and properly managed in ways that I can't get into right now, it's too complicated, portfolios actually close in an expected return, but we don't know what the short-term returns are going to be. So what we do is we project out and say, well, what if the return that happened in 1936 is followed by the return that happened in 1975, which is followed by the return in 1995, or what if it's reversed? What if they happen in different orders? And we can do 1,000 iterations, different variations on when those and how those returns may come in. And what that does is, because we can't predict the future, what return is going to follow the other, we can figure out, is it likely that we are going to be able to take the income that we need throughout retirement from this portfolio? And if not, how can we rearrange the furniture or the portfolio to give us a higher likelihood of success? And we look at life expectancies, we look at a lot of different things, but this is what is available to people that they're not getting from the financial planning community. If you want to know more, go to paulwinkler.com, set up a free 15-minute phone call, paulwinkler.com, and come in and find out more about what we do.
Updates in the Alabama boat brawl, a police chase in Mount Juliet, abortion topic, a hot button one at the polls, and federal construction workers could be seeing a raise as that news comes in from the Biden administration. That and more coming up at 4. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yesterday, the Dow was really up about 400 points and more. Today, it is down 158. It's deeply in the red. S&P down 19 points. NASDAQ is down 110. So we have something of a market sell-off going on. What's driving this? Ty Draper with Beacon Capital Management. He's standing by with details.
Brian, all three of the major indexes closed down, of course, today over worries of the financial health of small and mid-sized banking institutions. After that arose after a Moody's downgrade of 10 U.S. banks. And the overall optimism in equity markets also took a hit when data showed a slump in Chinese imports and exports in the month of July. Those discouraging economic signs come as investors wait for the release of July inflation data on the report for Thursday, which could have the Fed reverse course on the pause of interest rates.
And that's why everybody's so negative. Ty, thank you so much. Learn about all the things they can do for you over at Beacon Capital Management by just going to their website, askbeaconnow.com. It is 58 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. Grace Point Healthcare delivers medicine affordably with menu-style transparent pricing. This is a great idea, so you'll know how much it's going to cost before the care is delivered. Best known for their Smart Care plans, for just $69 a month, you get unlimited office visits. Think about that. And free basic labs for the entire year. And because they treat the whole family, even newborns, they offer family plans as well. Now, you can marry this with a high deductible insurance plan, and it could save you and your family hundreds of dollars. At Grace Point, they take their time with each patient. They see you the same or next day. There are no long wait times or crowded wait rooms. They treat naturally whenever possible. It is a military vet-owned practice. Just some of the reasons why it's been voted the best primary care provider by Toast to Music City year after year after year. Grace Point Healthcare is on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 599-6868. It's 599-6868 to schedule a visit.
It's 4 o'clock. I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. 84 degrees, a nice calm day in Nashville. Severe weather possible tomorrow afternoon in the form of storms and strong winds. Complete weather traffic report coming up in 5 minutes. Authorities in Montgomery, Alabama tracked down suspects in a brawl that's gone viral. Here's Derek Dennis.
Suspects turning themselves in after the Montgomery riverfront brawl involving a black dock worker attacked by a group of white boaters with black and white witnesses then coming to his defense. 3 men, 48, 23, and 25 years old, all white, answering assault warrants issued by Police Chief Darrell Albert, who says Saturday's brawl, caught on various cell phone video, should not be a reflection of Montgomery.
We're about a good time, enjoying ourselves and being neighborly. So it was quite disturbing.
The chief identifying the victims as dock worker Damian Pickett and a white 16-year-old, both attacked in the melee.
Right now in Tennessee, News 2 reports that Mount Juliet police were involved in a car chase after pursuing a stolen vehicle. A spy strip had to be deployed. That chase then ended on I-40 West near mile marker 228. 3 people were in that vehicle, 2 of which have been arrested, 1 of which ran away on foot, and police are still searching for that suspect. They say he's a man wearing a blue shirt with dark pants. And advocates are pushing to add abortion to the ballot in several states come 2024, including most recently Arizona. And Flaherty has more from Washington.
A new political action committee in Arizona is asking the state to put the question of abortion rights to voters next year. Arizona for Abortion Access, a group backed by Planned Parenthood and the ACLU, has proposed a constitutional amendment that would guarantee the right to an abortion in the state. Democrats are pushing similar measures in other battleground states like Florida in a bid to juice turnout among its supporters.
Back here in the volunteer state in Smyrna, Channel 4 says that an employee at the Nissan complex who was hospitalized back in July due to a work-related incident has now died. The spokesperson for that branch came out with a statement saying, quote, "We are saddened at the loss of a supplier employee who was a valued member of the Smyrna team. Our deepest condolences go out to his family, friends, and colleagues at this difficult time, and the safety and well-being of our team members continues to be the company's top priority," end quote. And the Biden administration today announced welcome news for Americans working on federal construction jobs. They're getting a raise. Andy Field.
Congress passed a federal construction wage law 40 years ago. Vice President Kamala Harris says the pay rate is 4 decades out of date.
That's thousands of dollars more every year to help put a down payment on a home, for example, or to save for retirement.
The rule is still open to public comment before the government would require federal construction companies to pay prevailing wages.
And that is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and we're so glad that you are with us on this 8th day of August. It's 8/8, and we're going to bring you all kinds of news and information that you can use so you can get home safely. We'll try to inform you. We'll try to educate you. We'll try to give you a good chuckle. It's nobody. There's nobody out there who doesn't like a good chuckle.
What about a chortle?
A chortle is even better, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, a chuckle or a chortle, and we'll give it to you, and then we'll also, hopefully give you information so you can walk in at dinner time with the fam, and you can just lay knowledge on. Just to, you know what I just heard? I heard they're going to stick a catheter in a place where you should never think. No,
they're going to electrocute Brian.
They're going to zap Brian tomorrow. In case you missed it earlier, I'm going in for an outpatient, 1 day in and out in a couple of hours heart thing, which really is about zapping my heart so that it beats in the. Ow! No, that hurts. Just the thought of it.
Oh, I had that turned up too high. Sorry about that. I'll turn the voltage down a little bit.
Turn it down a little bit. I'd like to have some heart left. But they're going to zap my heart with microwaves. They're small waves. They're microwaves. And I'm in and out in a couple hours. And it's all about getting my heart to beat in a more proper rhythm. It's not a big deal. It's not as dire as it's. And they're not cracking me open. They're not. I'm not going to have the zipper up the middle of the chest. None of that.
That's a relief. Yeah.
At least that's what they've told me. And so I'm doing that tomorrow, and I'll be out. Des Dickerson will be in tomorrow to fill in for me, and I know you'll give him your kind attention. Let's see. I got some stuff to talk about with regard to 2024. I've got stuff in my way. I can do this now, can I? 2024 election update. It's just better with the music, don't you think?
I do agree, yeah.
Mike Pence will be on the debate stage August 23rd in Milwaukee. The Pence campaign has said it informed the RNC that he now qualifies and noted that they were the first presidential campaign that submitted their numbers to be verified. So he's in. Several others have said they have qualified the debate but haven't actually shown their numbers yet. But I think probably we're talking about Pence, Ron DeSantis, Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, Governor Christie, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum are all expected to be on that debate stage. Former President Donald Trump, under whom Pence had served, met the donor and polling requirements. However, he has been saying he's never really said absolutely I won't go, but he's sort of making it known that it doesn't make a lot of sense. We had this yesterday. Let me see if I can find it. Trump. This is what he said yesterday, or said, recently.
Every time they file an indictment, we go way up in the polls. We need one more indictment to close out this election. One more indictment, and this election is closed out. Nobody has even a chance. We've already defeated the Republicans. They're at 2 and 3 and 1. They all want me to go, onto the debate stage. And I say, well, if we're at 71 and they're at 0, 1, 2, 3, some of them are at 4 or 5. I don't know. Does it really make a lot of sense? Does it really? I love to debate, but sometimes you don't want to be a fool. You want a smart president. You don't want a stupid president.
And so I don't think he's going to be there, but that doesn't mean that Pence and others are not trying to goad him into it. Mike Pence made quick and easy work of the donor threshold, and he's looking forward to a substantive debate about the issues important to the American people. Hopefully, former President Trump has the courage to show up, says Pence campaign spokesman Devin O'Malley. Pence has been in the spotlight in the recent days after Trump's indictment on 4 counts related to the 2020 election. Pence refused Trump's push to kick the contested Electoral College votes back to the states. So Pence says he has 200 or more donors in 40 states, which is higher than the 20-state threshold, according to Fox News. So he has done that. He has made the stage, at least it seems that is the case. I don't think Trump's going to show. If I were Trump, I would not go. I would not spend a moment doing that. I would just sit there and ride that. He said 71. I haven't found a poll where he's leading with 71% of the vote, maybe in some states here and there, but the overall poll, most of them show leading by a substantial margin, anywhere between 30 and 35 and 40 points ahead of DeSantis, his nearest competitor. So I don't think it makes a lot of sense for Trump to go. I don't think anybody holds it against him. I mean, why would you? Why would you go in there and be, the giant in the room that everybody's going to be taking shots at? They probably will take shots at him as well, and he's probably going to just hate being on the sidelines. But I really do think that is the best action for him. I completely agree with the decision to stay off the stage. I think if I were him, I really wouldn't do a whole lot between now and the time that people start voting. I would simply, just, you've got the base, it would appear, pretty much sewn up, at least the way things look today. And I don't know that as he said, one more indictment, and that's probably going to happen in Georgia. His numbers go up every time he's indicted. So we'll see. Ron DeSantis has named a new campaign manager. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, according to the Wall Street Journal, has named a new campaign manager, the latest effort to steady his struggling bid for the 2024 presidential nomination. Janera Peck, P-E-C-K, will move to senior strategist role, while James Uthmeyer, chief of staff to the DeSantis governor, will become the campaign manager. Uthmeyer has been one of the Governor DeSantis' top advisors for years, and he's needed where it matters most, working hand in hand with Janera Peck and the rest of the team to put the governor in the best possible position to win this primary and defeat Joe Biden. That came from Andrew Romeo, his press spokesman, on Tuesday. That's today. The appointment follows the dismissal of roughly a third of the DeSantis campaign staff over concerns of overspending, and as DeSantis has had trouble gaining traction in the polls while facing criticism of his strategy by donors and other allies. So a little bit of push around, move around. Look, I don't know if that's what happens, but if it ain't working, you got to try something new, and he's apparently going to try something new. And again, I don't know that it's going to make any difference. I don't know how you make up 38 points. How do you make up 35, 36, 37, 38 points? Something dramatic has to happen on the stage to change the whole equation. I just don't see it happening. Democrats, they can just throw more rocks at Trump, and it doesn't matter. It seems to me it is going to be Trump's nomination. He certainly has got enough of a lead that I don't think it's going to be a problem as it stands right now. Biden, what about Biden as far as 2024 is concerned? Well, at the White House, the big stink in the press room is Biden never talks to us anymore. We can't get anything out of him. He walks by us. He ignores our questions. He doesn't engage. What are we going to do? We can't get a hold of, he doesn't do any interviews. He doesn't do any press conferences. Well, get ready for the Biden campaign. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be out of the basement of his home in Wilmington, and he's not going to come out. Knock. Is Joe there? No, I'm sorry. He's busy right now, and he's not going anywhere. He's just going to go to the basement. We won't see much of him. He'll be doing a lot of things on camera, remotely. But here's who he will sit down with. You ready? Oh, this will be a scintillating interview. And it's happening, I don't know, sometime this afternoon. May have already happened this afternoon. President Joe Biden will sit for a climate change-focused interview with the Weather Channel. Will take place at the Grand Canyon in Arizona, shortly after Biden's remarks designating a new national monument for the greater Grand Canyon region. Excuse me. Biden rarely sits for televised interviews, with most of his recent happening in June. That's right. The most recent interview he's done was in June with NBC News' Nicole Wallace. The Biden administration issued the first ever hazard alert for heat in late July as the country grappled with historic temperatures. So this is what he's going to say. I mean, I think people need to understand there's a difference between weather and climate. But one way or the other, let's not have that debate right now. So it'll be a scintillating, hard-hitting interview with the Weather Channel. Go, that's boy. I mean, I'm telling you, this has got to be just in the craw of White House correspondents. They cover the guy in and out every day. They can't get him on camera. They can't get him to say anything. Peter Doocy is back now, so maybe he can shout a question that gets Biden's craw, and he turns around and answers him. But this is what we're in for. 2024 campaign for Biden is going to be out of the House, and this is the kind of stuff that it's bad. It's bad for the American people not to know what's on the president's mind. It's bad for the American people when reporters can't ask questions. I know people don't like reporters, and you hate White House reporters, but we need to know what's on the president's mind as best we can determine it. And I don't think we're going to find that with a hard-hitting interview from the Weather Channel.
Interestingly enough, I was just looking on their website. They don't say anything about this upcoming interview. You would think they would be promoting it on their their website, but they're not.
Nice backdrop, though. It's great, isn't it great? Listen to this. Isn't it just great to fly Air Force One all the way across the country, get into a big old motorcade, and drive however far you have to go? I mean, I did this one time with Clinton at the Grand Canyon, and I remember we arrived late at night, but I remember it being quite a drive from where we landed. And when we awoke the next morning, we were right there on the Grand Canyon. It was beautiful, spectacular. But you've burned all of that carbon, and you've burned all of that fuel, and you've got the Beast, which burns. I don't know. Maybe it gets. I don't think they do miles to gallon. I think they do gallons to mile with that thing. I think that's what they do. And but you're going to be talking about global warming and climate change. Seems if you're gonna be, avoiding reporters anyway, why not just do it, there at the White House? Do the event, walk out. But no, it's a dramatic backdrop, and don't think about how much carbon was burned and expelled into the atmosphere in order for him to do that. This is again a 2024 story. But one very quickly that I'll just sort of blow through here, because it's about Tennessee and who might be running for the office of senator. I don't know when. I need to check. But State Representative Gloria Johnson, she was one of the Tennessee Three. Remember her? She's formed an exploratory committee, and she's expected to run for the U.S. Senate against Marsha Blackburn. And she's told, an insider has told the Tennessee Star that Johnson is expected to use the upcoming special session of the General Assembly as a bully pulpit to raise the profile of her campaign. So, I told you that the Democrats are going to try to, mess this thing up, and there's going to be chaos. There's at least one person in there who is going to be using it to try to advance her political chances against Marsha. It is 22 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk. You know, with all the rain we've been having, you may have noticed that your foundation issues or you've got waterproofing issues that are emerging, and you may be worried about it, but you're just sort of afraid to call. A lot of people are afraid to call. They think, oh, I don't know. I don't want to know what I'll find out. That happens quite a bit. But if you call the folks at USS, listen, you're going to get it straight from the shoulder. Now, the truth is, it could be something that needs to be fixed, and they'll tell you that. It could be a small problem that if you don't address it now could become bigger. Or you may find out it's just really nothing at all to worry about. One thing is you don't know for sure, and you certainly don't want to be sold something that you don't need. So why don't you reach out to them? They'll come out to your house. They'll take an assessment of what's going on. They'll give you their absolute best advice. They're not going to try to upsell you. They're not going to try to give you, the razzle-dazzle or unnecessarily alarm you. They're simply going to tell you, here's the solution, and if you decide to go forward, you don't pay a penny until the job is done and you're completely satisfied. Let me just give you one of these. Don't take my word for it, how good they are. The crew that worked on our house has been top-notch. I appreciate the integrity, speed of feedback, and quality of work provided for all who have worked with us. That's Chris, who worked with US back earlier this year. Listen, they guarantee their best at USS, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Northern Alabama, online at USSTN.com, or call this number, 615-488-7855.
A new national monument declared by President Biden that surrounds the Grand Canyon. A Tennessee soldier now dead after a crash. And today's Money News. That and more coming up 30 minutes after the hour of 4 o'clock. I'm Mac Morey right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, this will make you mad, and I'm sorry about it, but I think you need to know your president is a liar. And he has lied about, the whole thing with Hunter and the laptop. I mean, the number of lies that he's told. But he keeps telling this whopper. He's told this whopper so many times. And it's hurtful. It's absolutely hurtful, the thing that he has said. The mother of fallen Marine Lance Corporal Dylan R. Merola, who died in Afghanistan, claimed that Joe Biden told her that his late son, Bo, came home in a flag-draped coffin as well. That's not what happened. Simply not what happened. Here is Cheryl Rex talking about her son, Dylan Merola, at a meeting she had with the President of the United States.
When Joe Biden, our elected president, entered the room, when he approached me, his words to me were, my wife Jill and I know how you feel. We lost our son as well and brought him home in a flag-draped coffin. My heart started beating faster, and I started shaking, knowing that their son died from cancer and they were able to be by his side. Also wondering how someone could honestly, be so heartless to say he knew how I felt a little over 24 hours and learning of my son's death. After this encounter, I have never had any personal correspondence, nor has my son been honored or his name spoken by this commander-in-chief or his administration on what I feel is because of their failures and poor planning to exit our troops from Afghanistan.
Well, I mean, that is true. The first real disaster of the Biden administration was Afghanistan, which was a political decision, not a good military decision. People died. And then Biden comes in and tells this Gold Star mom, I can feel your pain because our son Bo came home in a flag draped coffin. Not true. He came back home and was treated for cancer and died on the stateside. Now that's tragic, and I'm sorry, it's sad, but it's not the same. This is not the same. And he tells this story all the time, and it's a bold-faced lie. And I don't know. I mean, again, is it the fact that he's suffering from dementia and he just gets confused, or does he actually believe this to be true? It is not true. And why would you ever say such a thing to a Gold Star mom? And again, if this was the first time you could understand, maybe he just misspoke. He's done this at least 5 or 6 times. It is 30 minutes past the hour.
It's 4:30. I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Right now, 84 degrees, a sunny day here in Nashville. Expecting not the same tomorrow. Some storms, possibly severe tomorrow afternoon. Full weather forecast and that latest traffic report headed your way in 5 minutes. President Biden today created a new national monument around the Grand Canyon, which will include nearly 1 million new acres of protected public land, something at least one Republican senator says is a bad idea. Andy Field has the latest from the nation's capital.
President Biden at a Grand Canyon ceremony for a new 1 million-acre protected monument, saying it's a battle getting that done.
Protecting our outdoor treasures, making our nation more resilient. But some MAGA extremists in Congress are trying to undo it all.
Neighboring state Senator Mitt Romney saying the president's new protected land will hurt cattle ranchers and uranium miners.
Right now in Tennessee, Channel 4 reporting that a motorcyclist died in a crash on Friday, and officials have now confirmed that it was a Fort Campbell soldier. 26-year-old Michael McMillan died in the collision with another car at the intersection of Fort Campbell Boulevard and Quinn Lane. Police did not release how this crash occurred. And now over to some money news. Daria Albinger lets us know what happened today on Wall Street.
Up one day, down the next. The Dow plunged 159 points, the Nasdaq fell 110, and the S&P gave up 19. Stocks tumbled on new worries about the banking system after Moody's cut the credit ratings for 10 smaller and mid-sized financial institutions, citing concern about their financial strength from the effects of higher interest rates to the work-from-home trend, which is leaving office buildings vacant. Concerns about the global economy also pushed the markets lower. Asia-Pacific stocks sank on a report that China's economy shrank by the most since the start of the pandemic in 2020. It's been a busy day for earnings. Rivian and Lyft were among the companies to report after the close. The electric car maker and the ride-sharing service both reported numbers that beat analyst expectations. However, earlier in the day, Beyond Meat gave up almost 16% on weak revenue and worries that demand for plant-based products is softening.
And that is the latest news. Traffic and weather are on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Let me tell you about King and Associates Insurance in Brentwood. Been in the business for some 25 years as an independent agency. Now, I'm telling you, I think that's the way to go. And because they're a smaller agency, they can take care of you as an individual. If you call this number, 615-329-8121, you're going to get not a phone tree, not a recording. They're not going to hear somebody tell you that your call is important to them. Please stay on the line. You're going to get an actual person who will deal with you, get you started and headed in the right direction. And then the other thing I think is great about them being an independent agency is they can shop around. They can find the best deals. They can set you up with something that really fits your need. You're not going to get that kind of customized service if you're working with, some website insurance company. Don't do that. Multi-policy discounts, 20 to 35%. Huge savings if you just bundle everything up. I'm doing this now. I'm putting together all my information. I've got a lot of information to gather, but I'm putting it together now, and then I'm going to send it over and get my royal review with King & Associates. That's right. Just log into tkinginsurance.com. I'll tell you how this goes. King Insurance & Associates, royal treatment, great rates. Well, it's time to head out to the swamp and give you some information about what's happening in the nation's capital. You know, this is actually a sort of a slow time in the nation's capital. All the years that I worked in Washington, you know, they always said, well, you know, better find something to do in August. And they would tell you to, you know, if you had a special project you want to work on, or we have a special project we want you to work on, is more often the way it went. And so you would just be biding your time. But I don't know. I think that I think over the years that sort of faded. I mean, really, the reason that they say that is because Congress is out. They're back home, or they're on CODELs, congressional delegations touring the world. I know that them Congress people, they love them CODELs, and so they're doing that. And the president generally takes some time off. He seems to be back for a few days. What has I read? He's spent out of his presidency so far, I think he's spent a full year on vacation. That's not bad. I mean, that's good work if you can get it. So, what is going on? Well, these things are going on. The Supreme Court, by a 5-4 vote, has granted a Biden administration request to continue treating weapons assembled from kits like other guns while it appeals lower court decision. 5-4 Supreme Court said Tuesday the federal regulation of so-called ghost guns would stand while the Biden administration appeals lower court findings that do-it-yourself firearm kits weren't covered by the principal federal weapons law, the Gun Control Act. The Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives issued a rule in 2022 applying the Gun Control Act to gun kits amid a proliferation of such kits being sold over the internet. After lower court said the rule exceeded the government's regulatory authority, the Justice Department asked the Supreme Court to let the regulation stand while the litigation continues. Tuesday's order, that's today's order, as is typical in emergency matters, was unsigned and provide no reasons. It noted that Justices Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh would have denied the government's claim. So that's Clarence Thomas, Alito, the chief. It was the chief. The chief said, you know, we need to do this. The government says the criminals have used ghost guns as a loophole to frustrate law enforcement, exempting them from the rules that apply to other guns. Poses an acute threat to public safety. Okay, so there you go. Here's another version of the story from Fox News. The Biden administration may temporarily continue to its crackdown on what they call ghost guns. The Supreme Court has sided with the Biden administration, temporarily allowing enforcement of regulations over so-called ghost guns that can be made from kits at home. The administration appealed a federal judge's earlier ruling tossing out the regulations. In a 5-4 vote, the High Court put that ruling from Texas on hold while the case is appealed further on its merits. So the appeals court says it does the law should not apply. The Supreme Court says, well, we're going to let it apply until we hear the case. The regulation will be enforced while the case is appealed in the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans. At least it's not the 99th. They say Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Thomas would have allowed the lower court ruling to go in effect. Okay, so there's that. Two of those stories. Now, here is another thing. Now, this is actually, I think, another example of how the Biden administration likes to do everything they can to do things by executive order, which is not legal. It's not legal many times what the Biden administration wants to do. And here is another example of the Biden administration getting slapped down hard by an appeals court. A federal appeals court granted an injunction to block President Joe Biden's new rules that make it easier for student borrowers to have their debts relieved if they were misled or defrauded by a university. a 3-judge panel on the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, again, it's the fifth, down in New Orleans, granted an injunction request by Career Colleges and Schools of Texas, a group that leads more than 70 for-profit higher education institutions in Texas, while the ruling is under appeal. So he was told once that he couldn't do it, and there was a ruling that said, no, your whole plan is unconstitutional. And so he said, okay, well, I'll do it another way. I got another plan. And now the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals has said, no, that is not going to happen right now. The 2-page order did not explain the reasoning for the decision, but noted that the case would be heard in full this fall. It's ordered that appellant opposed emergency motion for injunction, blah, 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 blah. The group's lawsuit stemmed from an April filing against the Education Department. The Biden administration rules went into effect in July and aims to expand the number of circumstances under which they can justify loan relief. It was called the Borrower's Defense to Repayment, and so now it's on hold while it goes back to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and it seems to me we're probably talking about, generally you don't get that kind of action by an appeals court unless they have some sense that that's where the case is headed. Who knows? But another backslap against the Biden administration for trying to do something that everybody knows is unconstitutional. You can't say we're going to relieve all this debt without going to Congress. I mean, everybody knows that. Even Nancy Pelosi has said that. Joe Biden used to believe it until somebody convinced him that you didn't have to go to Congress. So I don't know. I don't think that's going anywhere. I think that whole thing, every effort is going to, I think, fall by the wayside because it seems inherently unconstitutional to make a decision without going to Congress about it. Just go to Congress if you want to change it. See how that works out for you. I have another story here today. The United States has closed its embassy in Haiti today due to people firing a lot of weapons nearby. The embassy is closed today. All personnel are restricted to embassy compounds until a further notice due to gunfire in the vicinity of the embassy. Travel between compounds, apparently there are several there, prohibited. Some routes to the embassy may be impacted due to rapid continued gunfire. People were advised to avoid the area around the embassy, which is located in Haiti's capital. Anybody know?
Port-au-Prince?
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
that was quick. That was fast. And of course, you are correct.
Thank you.
Wow. I have been to Port-au-Prince on 2 different occasions. And both of those occasions, I went there for the earthquake, which was a tragic thing. And I went there when they were trying to return Aristide to power. And they did return him for a while. And the United States military was there. Haiti is a hellhole. Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Poorest by far. Let me just give you my take on this, because if you understand that area, you know that the island of Hispaniola is divided. On one side is Haiti, and it's a godforsaken hellhole where there is no law and order, and corruption runs rampant, and the people have nothing. They're the poorest people in the Western Hemisphere. On the other side of that island, across a mountain range, and on the other side, is the Dominican Republic, which is a place where people actually want to go for vacation. I mean, it is shocking. I made, during the earthquake, they told me, you gotta start in the DR, the Dominican Republic, and you got to take a ride in a truck across the mountains into Haiti. That's the only way you can get in right now, because the airport was just jammed. And so I go to the DR, and it's a beautiful, on the DR side, it's beautiful, it's lush, it's a tropical paradise, and maybe not the best country in that region, but it's certainly a nice enough place that you'd want to go there and spend your tourism dollars and eat some good food, and you would have probably a pretty good time. Cruise ships go to the Dominican Republic all the time, and it's considered a nice place to visit. You get right at that mountain, and just about the moment you cross that mountaintop and you start going down into Haiti, all the vegetation is stripped. And they've had, it's really, honestly, it's quite sad, but people have taken everything they can find for firewood just because they have nothing. They have no support, and they're so poor. And as you make your way down into Port-au-Prince, you find some parts, Cité du Soleil. It is just it's a horrible, horrible place. And when I went there, we were concerned, of course, because during the earthquake, the jail fell apart, and so did the police station. And people who were in jail went to the police station and grabbed a bunch of guns, and then went into the country and just evaporated into the chaos. So we had guys, we couldn't get out, and without these SS guys, I mean these British Secret Service, I don't know what they were, but they were bad A, man, I'm telling you, with machine guns and Uzis, and we would before we could get out of the car, they would sort of secure a perimeter around us.
Do a sweep?
Yeah, and they wouldn't even let us go to Cité du Soleil. Nope, we're not going there. So it's a hellhole, it's a dangerous place, and I'm not surprised this is happening, but it's been, it seems like there's been a lot of ugliness in Haiti of late, and we need to keep an eye on it. And again, I'm not surprised they're closing the embassy with this. I would not be surprised if they just decided to evacuate if things continue to devolve. It is 50 minutes now past the hour. I talk all the time about Beacon Capital Management and how, the team over there can help you find, your way to a successful retirement. And that sometimes it's a great idea to have a second set of eyes look at something to make sure you're on the right path to a proper retirement. Well, there's going to be a live event. I'll be there on August 17th, 2023 at 10:30 at the Marriott in Cool Springs. The folks at Beacon call this their Market Halftime Report. Financial trends and opportunities and outlook. So, I mean, what a great idea. You go there, you sit down, you get the advice of some real experts, and give you some sense of where you need to be headed and the things you need to be looking out for. I mean, don't you want that kind of information? Information is power, and you want it. So join us August 17th at 10:30 a.m. at the Marriott in Cool Spring. And you'll hear from Dan Benson, you'll hear from Pete Benson, you'll hear from John Maxson, and I'll be there for the opening remarks. I'll be there to have a cup of coffee with you and to shake your hand and say hello. And I hope that you will make those arrangements. What you got to do? Well, just go to beaconcm.com, or better yet, call them 615-488-9303. That's 615-488-9303. And tell them you want to sign up, and they'll take care of you. 51 minutes now past the hour.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. There was a recent study by J.D. Power looking at how happy investors were with their advisors, and it wasn't pretty. What they found was only 11% of the respondents said that they were getting comprehensive financial planning, that the fees were clear, and that they felt that the advisor was acting in their best interest. Not a good picture, 11%. Now, one of the things that we do is we do comprehensive planning. We fit all of those bills, number one. But one of the things I want to talk about is in the financial planning process, what I think it ought to look like and what is available that people aren't getting. And one of the things is called probability analysis. So in essence, this is what we're talking about. We're trying to accumulate money for retirement. Put money aside, hoping that we'll have enough so that we can have income throughout retirement. And what we find is that people have Social Security, they have pensions in their financial plan, and they also have investments. Now, with their investments, we want to do something very specific that it really requires quite an academic background to do this. And this is where we look at the cost of capital of the various things that you own in your investment portfolio. It sounds scary, it sounds really detailed, but here's the idea. Is if we look at various asset classes like large stocks and small stocks and large value and bonds and so on and so forth, we know the expected return or the cost that these entities have to pay to use your money. So we can come up with an expected return of the portfolio. We can also come up with what's called standard deviation, or how much that portfolio return may deviate from the expected return. Now that's a whole other video, but what I want to do is show you how we use this. If I look at a financial plan and I say, well, you got this area, this area, this area, what I can do is I can say, well, based on when you want to retire, this is how much income you can take, and here's the likelihood of being able to have this income survive throughout your entire life. And the way it works is this. If I take a portfolio and I say, there's the expected return, I can look at history and say, well, the way your portfolio is designed, how might your one-year returns vary from the expected return, the long-term expected return? Well, what we know from academic research is that portfolios well designed and properly managed in ways that I can't get into right now, it's too complicated, portfolios actually close in an expected return, but we don't know what the short-term returns are going to be. So what we do is we project out and say, well, what if the return that happened in 1936 is followed by the return that happened in 1975, which is followed by the return in 1995, or what if it's reversed? What if they happen in different orders? And we can do 1,000 iterations, different variations on when those and how those returns may come in. And what that does is, because we can't predict the future, what return's going to follow the other, we can figure out, is it likely that we are going to be able to take the income that we need throughout retirement from this portfolio? And if not, how can we rearrange the furniture or the portfolio to give us a higher likelihood of success? And we look at life expectancies, we look at a lot of different things, but this is what is available to people that they're not getting from the financial planning community. If you want to know more, go to paulwinkler.com, set up a free 15-minute phone call, paulwinkler.com, and come in and find out more about what we do.
Election day in Ohio with big implications at stake. A police chase right here in Tennessee, and former President Donald Trump speaking out on latest indictment case and says he will not be silenced. Those stories and more coming up at 5 o'clock. I'm Mac Morey right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, and coming up in the next hour, we'll talk once again about this special session that's in the offing here in Tennessee, and my strongly held opinion that it should be canceled. That's among the things we'll be discussing. Stay right here. You're listening to The Drive on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let me tell you about the folks over at Rhino Shield. First of all, how many times have I told you about what they do? They come in, they put Rhino Shield down, and it's good for 25 years. And you say, well, yeah, okay, Wilson, but what do you can tell me about the quality of the work? Well, we have people who've done business with them. I was recently contacted, or recently had a conversation with my dear friend, the Garretts, and they have had their it's a historic home, really a beautiful home. Down in Williamson County, and they had Rhino Shield come in and do all the work. And I kind of tell you, I had over for the weekend. They told me, we are very pleased with the work. So much so that it sounds like they got a couple more projects in mind for the folks at Rhino Shield. Listen, if you're thinking about painting your home, don't paint your home. Why don't you Rhino Shield it? 10 times thicker than paint, infused with special 3M ingredients, billions of microspheres that allow the coating to expand and contract. That's why they offer a 25-year warranty against cracking, chipping, and peeling. Listen, do what the Garretts did. Go and contact the folks over at Rhino Shield. Here's the number, 615-474-1729. Again, 615-474-1729. Learn more by going to their website, rhinoshieldnashville.com.
It is 5 o'clock. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 85 degrees. Severe storms are possible tomorrow. Complete weather forecast and the latest traffic report upcoming in 5 minutes. In Ohio, it's election day. Right now, voters are spending their summer Tuesday weighing in on the state's constitution. And it's a big turnout for a procedural change because the decision from this special election will have national implications in the debate over the future of abortion rights. If it's a yes, the state could raise the threshold for passing future changes to the Ohio Constitution from a simple majority to 60%. Alex Preche is in Columbus, Ohio, with details on what voters have come to call Issue 1.
In the wake of this special election being announced, have already rushed to kind of codify abortion rights in their particular states. But Ohio often sets the pace for a lot of the country. And so when you look at the record turnout, nearly 700,000 folks voting early, either in person or by mail, specifically on this August special election in Ohio, that really could have some ripple impacts across the country.
And today's outcome could also impact another ballot in November when voters in the state are scheduled to consider a constitutional amendment that would guarantee access to abortion. Right now in Tennessee, News 2 says that Mount Juliet police were involved in a car chase after pursuing a stolen vehicle. A spike strip had to be deployed. That chase then ended on I-40 West. This was near mile marker 228. 3 people were inside that stolen vehicle, 2 of which have been arrested, and one of the suspects ran away on foot, and police are still searching for that suspect. They say he's a man wearing a blue shirt with dark pants. And prosecutors worry he'll leak sensitive grand jury testimony, but former President Donald Trump says he won't stop talking about the case. Steve Portnoy has the latest.
As a judge here in Washington weighs the special counsel's request to impose restrictions on the former president when it comes to what he might say about evidence in the January 6th case, Donald Trump in New Hampshire insists he won't be silenced.
Somehow that's not good for votes. Do you agree? When we say I can't talk, I will talk about it. I will. They're not taking away my First Amendment right.
Judge Tanya Chutkin has said she'll hold a hearing before ruling on the prosecution's request.
In Nashville, Metro Public administrators say safety is a priority number one as students head back to class today. Director of Schools Dr. Adrienne Battle on upgrades she says will help them see and spot threats.
I will tell you is that some of our new enhancements are around accelerating the implementation of shatterproof glass, AI technology to detect weapons in our schools, increased camera access across our campuses.
And Dr. Battle says they're still working with police to put an officer in every school this year. That is the latest news, traffic and weather upcoming. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and I'm so glad that you're with us. 8th day of August. 8/8 is what the date is. Easy to remember when you're writing checks. 8/8 of 2023. Glad you're with us. I got a lot of things to talk about here, and I'm going to jump right into them here in just a short while. But let me just make a personal note here and a programming note for your edification that I will not be here tomorrow. I have to go off for and I don't want you to worry because it's not that big a deal. It's not an insignificant thing, but it's not a big deal. It's not as bad as it sounds, but I've got to go tomorrow and have some heart surgery. I mean, it's technically heart surgery, but not in the way you think generally. I mean, I'm not going to have the zipper up the chest. They're not going to crack me open and look at my beating heart and do things to it. No, none of that. I have an irregular heartbeat. It is something I've had for all my life, as far as I know. But they have said that it needs to be corrected. And so it's one of these things where I got to be there at 5:30 in the morning. And they're going to process me. And I'm the early bird patient, they say. And they're going to stick a catheter in a place where, quite frankly, a catheter should never go. And that's going to happen. And then they're going to run it. It's going to run up and all the way up into my heart. Yeah, I know it sounds horrible. They say, I'm going to be out. They're not going to be aware of any of this. And then, in order to correct the irregular heartbeat, they want to zap some special cells that, it's sort of a microwave zapping of my heart. Which means, it will either fix the problem or it will make it well done.
Yeah. Probably leave a cold spot in the middle.
Yeah.
That's how it usually works.
Yeah. Parts of my heart will be very hot. Parts of my heart will be very cold. I don't know. But, I mean, we're going to be doing that tomorrow. And I'll tell you, it sounds a lot worse than it is. It's in and out patient. I'll probably be home by mid-morning. And I'll be back to work on Thursday. So Des Dickerson is going to be with us coming in here tomorrow to fill in. I know you'll be kind to him and give him your kind attention while I'll be gone on this one-day thing. And when all is said and done, they say that because of the way my heart beats, it's working against itself, and that I really only have about 50% of my heart function. I didn't know. I just thought I was getting old and slowing down, and because that, I don't know what it is to be old. I've never been old before. And so, they say, oh, no, we can give you full function of your heart if everything goes well. So
nice.
The rest of my heart, solid, no blockages, no damage. This is just to correct an irregular heartbeat. So I'll be back on Thursday with that. And then I won't be doing things half-heartedly anymore.
Yeah.
You see, every time Cabana wife would have some chore for me, I would just sort of tap my chest and go, well, honey, I'm just working with half a heart here.
It's just not, I don't think I can handle it.
I don't know if I can get around to that today, but, and then when I come back, there'll be no excuses. Yeah. I'll be full-hearted, not half-hearted. But maybe still half-assed. Well, no. Well, in one way. So anyway, give Des your undivided attention tomorrow as he slides in here. I think I'm correct in saying it's the first time he's filled in. For this
that is
show.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. And I hear good things, and I've heard him, and I think you'll enjoy him. So again, I'll be back on Thursday. Okay. Now that out of the way, let me turn to some breaking news, which, as you know, breaking news changes everything. The governor has issued his proclamation for the special session. This has just come down. It was just a couple hours ago. We were suggesting that you call the governor and tell him that you think this is a bad idea. I think he wanted to cut us off at the knees, and because this wasn't expected in such a timely way. In fact, the version that's been posted on the web doesn't even have his signature on it right now. But it is a proclamation by the governor to hold a special session on August 21st. And I'm going to run through some of the things that are in this. Quite frankly, I'm working off my phone here because it's the only copy I can get. Mental health resources and providers or services. This is to consider and act upon legislation regarding mental health resources, providers, commitment services, school safety plans or policies, health care providers' duty to warn about potential violent offenses. Now, that's a pretty good idea, actually. Reports from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation regarding human trafficking, identification of individuals arrested for felonies, law enforcement access to criminal and juvenile records, law enforcement access, I'm sorry, I just lost it again. Law enforcement access to information about individuals who are subject to mental health commitment, information about victims of violent offenses, stalking offenses, measures encouraging the safe storage of firearms, which do not include the creation of penalties for failing to safely store arms. Well, what good is that? Temporary mental health orders of protection, which must be initiated by law enforcement. This is what he really wants. Temporary mental health orders of protection, which will be initiated by law enforcement, must require a due process hearing, must require the respondent to undergo an assessment for suicidal or homicidal ideation, must require law enforcement to prove its case by clear and convincing evidence, must require that an order of protection be reevaluated at least every 180 days, and must not permit ex parte orders. The transfer of juvenile defendants, age 16 and older, to courts with criminal jurisdiction, which might include appeal rights for the juvenile and prosecuting authorities, limiting the circumstances in which juvenile records may be expunged. I think that's interesting. Blended sentencing for juveniles, offenses related to inducing or coercing a minor to commit an offense, the structure or operation of state or local courts, and, let me go to the second page, making appropriations sufficient to provide funding for any legislation that receives final passage during the extraordinary session. It's an extraordinary session. So, look, he's pushing forward with it. They get together on the 21st day of August, and they start at 4 p.m., and here we go. Now, I was of the opinion that we didn't need to do this. In fact, I have a feeling this has come out a little earlier than they anticipated, but I don't know. But they have set the date for the Tennessee Legislative special session, and I'm going to just say this, okay? I had my say. The Tennessee GOP Executive Committee voted unanimously this weekend to suggest to the governor that he not even hold this session. I agree with that. I don't think it's a good idea. I know a lot of legislators who I've talked to ever since the Covenant School shooting, who say, look, it's a horrible thing, but the governor's not going to get what he really wants out of this. It's dead on arrival. I don't know why we are even trying this. Why don't we just wait until January? And I think that makes a lot of sense. So the special session is now apparently scheduled for the 21st day of August at 4 p.m. And it all has to do with Covenant. And here's what I think is going to happen. Listen, at this point, it doesn't seem like there's anything that can be done to stop it. The governor has ignored the members of the state legislature who have asked him not to do this. He has ignored the advice of many, the GOP Executive Committee, which voted unanimously not to do this. I think he's ignoring the advice and where the people are. I don't think the people want this special session in any significant way. And there's nothing that's going to happen here except that you're giving a platform for the Democrats to create a lot of chaos. Now, the Democrats have been meeting, and they're, you got Jones and Pearson, they're back, and they're going to be acting up, and there are going to be people coming in from out of town. We already know that. There's nothing going. There are these group of people that just travel from thing to thing to thing. They're professional protesters, and nobody seems to know, who pays them or how they live their lives, how they are able to do this. But they go from town to town, and wherever there's a hot spot, and they think they can create a little chaos, the professional protesters come in and they do that. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be nightmarish. And I think that the Democrats are going to try to disrupt this thing and use it as a platform and just make a lot of noise. And by the way, I'm reading this off the Tennessee Lookout. I think I'm pretty sure that Jade over at the governor's office knows where my email is. I'm pretty sure they've got it. I know they know where my phone number is. I didn't get any heads up on this. They just decided they were going to go ahead and do it before there was a groundswell against it. And so it is a bad idea. I think we're just giving a platform to Democrats who want to cause chaos. This is the same people, as it was pointed out by Scott Golden yesterday on our program. Some of these people are the ones who came to town and tried to set the courthouse on fire, tried to set Lower Broadway on fire. It started out as a protest that turned into a riot because these people were in the crowd. They were here. Same folks coming back. It's a bad idea. I don't like it, but it seems like the ship has sailed, and we're going to have a special session. The will of the people be damned. So, here we go. It is now official with the passing of this thing, this special, it's a proclamation. It now makes it official that it will officially happen. That the opportunity to walk back has gone. We'll sit down with Cameron Sexton and some of the others in the state legislature in the next week or so before we get to the special session to see what is really possible. Again, nothing that they're doing here could not be taken up in regular session in January. Nothing. 20 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. Let me tell you about the folks over at Eurofix. They have a very different business philosophy. They staff all their locations with more staff than the average auto repair shop, so they can be ready when your emergency pops up out of nowhere. Have you ever noticed how hard it can be to get a right now appointment for vehicle repair? Some dealers, it can be more than 2 weeks to get an appointment, but not at Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without dealer pricing since 1999. Plus, a 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car now. So if you're tired of waiting forever to get your car into the shop, then call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes says we will never be too busy for our customers. We are here to take their pain away and do it now. Eurofix repairs all European cars. Eurofix says yes to speedy repairs when others can't or won't. Family owned for 24 years. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
A special session date officially official. An update on the Alabama boat brawl, a house fire here in Tennessee, and some good news for a popular diabetes medication. I'll have those stories and more at 5:30. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, guys, there's bad news. If you ever get your car stolen, I imagine that's a bad day. You know, your car, but you know, generally those things are insured and all those kind of things. And you know, if you have your pickup stolen, and in the worst case scenario, they can replace it. But a classic car, something that has been lovingly restored, is something a little different than just your average vehicle. As someone who has owned a number of classic cars, I owned a 1972 GTO. I had a 1972 GTO. It's a great car. I hated to sell it. I've had, as you know, I had a yellow pickup truck that was, it was 1969 Chevrolet C10 pickup truck, bright yellow. It's still sort of in the family because I sold it to my bonus son, and he's driving it. But I hear it's going to be in a movie.
Oh, really?
Nice.
I've heard that, or not a movie, not a music video. Yeah,
Oh,
I hear that.
Wow.
Yeah, but if I had my, at the time I had a Silverado and then I had my Chevrolet C10, and if they were both sitting out on the drive, and somebody stole my Silverado at the time, I would have gone, well, that's bad. I hate that, but it wouldn't like hit me in the gut. So like, well,
Right.
that's bad, but I've got insurance and I'll get it straightened out. But if you stole my Chevrolet C10, I would be devastated.
Yeah,
It's you lovingly restored. You put a lot of effort into it. It's something special. It's something out of the ordinary. Well, that's why I bring this to your attention. Nashville, Tennessee. Deputies in Marshall County, actually, are asking the public to be on the lookout for a 1950s truck that was stolen from a home on Friday. This is a 1958 Chevrolet Apache pickup stolen from a home on the Nashville Highway north of Chapel Hill. Deputies believe the truck was stolen between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. And it is blue. It's a 58 Chevrolet Apache. How do you why would you steal a car that is going to stand out everywhere you take it?
Pretty easy to spot that one. Yeah.
It would absolutely be easy to spot that on the highway. That's, can you imagine? It's like, if they ever stole the C10, I always said, well, we'll get it back in an hour. Because, you put out an APB on a bright yellow, Chevrolet from 1969, somebody's going to see that right away.
Oh, yeah.
But apparently somebody did steal this from the house. And I would just say, if you see sort of a bluish, I don't know how to describe the blue, but sort of a dull blue Apache, Chevrolet, 1958 Chevrolet Apache, call law enforcement, would you? That is a stolen car. And, and we want to do what we can to help this guy who has put a lot of love and labor into this old Chevrolet pickup truck.
Yeah, you can't just run down to the Chevy dealer and buy one of those.
Heck no.
No, you can't.
No.
Mm.
So, I don't understand why you would steal a car that would stand out like a sore thumb anywhere you looked. When I used to drive the old Yeller around, I'd be driving down the highway and people, would come up alongside you, give you the thumbs up like, dude, love the car. Yeah. Or they'd even shout out the window, great truck, love it. It catches attention wherever you go. And so that will do the same thing here. So find it, get it back to its original owner. I think that's something we can all work together on, right? If you're within the sound of my voice and you see a 1958 blue pickup truck, 911.
There you go.
All right.
Get it back.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting. I saw this. This was actually sent to me in the form of an email from the folks over at Newsmax. And I felt, wow, this is something else. I checked it. It's right. Newsmax has done it again. They have beaten CNN's primetime offerings in key ratings last Friday in the crucial 8 to 10 Eastern time slot. They rated 709,000 viewers in the 8 to 9 p.m. hour of Eric Bolling, The Balance. Anderson Cooper, who I understand is one of the highest rated hosts over at CNN these days, only had 640,000. And that's really, really abysmally low. I mean, Newsmax is on the way up, and it takes a while to take over some of these slots, especially when you have really strong competition. But CNN is just, they're just sucking gas. They really are. In the overall 8 to 10 slot, 610,000 viewers tuned into Newsmax compared to 582 for CNN. Now, that is the first step. I remember being at Fox when we started to beat CNN, because I was there year 2. For year 1, there were a lot. People forget you couldn't even see Fox in some places. It wasn't on cable systems, and very, very hard to find. And then it started to be shown in more and more places. Picked up major metropolitan areas. Metropolitan areas, and then you started to beat CNN, and then it was at one point you started to beat them, and then they just fell into the rearview mirror. I wish the best for Newsmax, and this is a good start. Make that 31 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock.
.531, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. 85 degrees, a sunny day right now in Nashville. Expecting the opposite tomorrow afternoon into evening. Possibility for severe storms and high winds. Complete forecast, latest traffic report on the way in 5 minutes. Governor Lee has officially proclaimed August 21st for the date of the special session on public safety in Tennessee. The proclamation states the General Assembly will consider legislation regarding mental health resources, school safety plans, and policies, along with more. This announcement of a special session came in April after the Covenant school shooting, with Lee wanting to strengthen school safety, and he made that date official today. And in Montgomery, Alabama, authorities tracked down suspects in a brawl that went viral. Derek Dennis.
Ongoing police work helped by viral cell phone video in the Montgomery, Alabama riverfront brawl. Police Chief Darrell Albert issuing warrants for 3 white suspects in the alleged assault of a black dock worker, Damian Pickett, on Saturday. Beaten, the chief says, in a dispute over an improperly parked boat. The suspects, 48, 23, and 25 years old, caught on camera and now turning themselves in.
We're doing all we can to not only bring this case to a close, but prevent it from happening in the future.
The chief calling it a standalone incident, a disturbing one involving a dock worker attacked for doing his job.
A fire in Tennessee, a home in Hendersonville, is very damaged after flames engulfed that structure. Officials arrived at this house around 2 a.m., investigators still wanting to determine the cause of those flames, and a man is hospitalized after suffering from smoke inhalation. And some good news for users of a popular diabetes medication. Derek Dennis.
Researchers at the drug maker Novo Nordisk say the diabetes medication Wegovy led to a 20% reduction in the risk of heart attack, stroke, or cardiovascular death among overweight or obese adults. The study included more than 17,000 adults ages 45 or older carrying excess weight or were otherwise obese and diagnosed with cardiovascular disease but no history of diabetes. The researchers say the study findings show Wegovy can have major medical benefits beyond diabetes treatment and weight management.
And that is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Well, listen, in times of market and economic volatility, gold and silver just might be a safe haven that you're looking for. Listen, I want to tell you about Nashville Gold and Coin. If you're looking to buy real, actual, hold it in your hand, gold, silver, or bullion, let me tell you, this is the place I do my business, and it's a place I recommend. You'll get honest, friendly customer service and a real precious metals education. Now, they also specialize in the buying, selling, and appraising of coins. Do you have any idea how much those old coins you have laying around might be worth? I brought in a few silver coins. It'd been in a shoebox, buried in my sock drawer, since, I don't know how long. And it turned out to be worth $1,652. So whether you're into the market to purchase precious metals or you just want to find out what those coins in your closet might be worth, schedule a one-on-one consultation today. Now, it's easy to do. Just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, in for, until 7 o'clock. And then we'll hand it over to Mark Levin, the great one. He really is the great one. He's just been on fire of late. Let me tell you about some stuff that's going on. If you have just joined us, the governor has issued a proclamation which sets the tone and the goals for the upcoming special session. Interesting. We were at 3 o'clock. We were suggesting that if you think, as many people in the state of Tennessee do, as the GOP executive committee did, as many state legislatures did, as many people within the sound of my voice did, if you felt that this was not a good thing, then we suggested you give the governor's office a call. And just, be nice. Just let them know. That was at 3 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, it is issued, I note, without the governor's signature. They just put the proclamation out. It doesn't even have his signature on it. So, it tells you that they were trying to cut off any dissent on this matter before we decided to go any further. So that is happening. It will be on the 21st. They've laid out their agenda. The thing that the governor wants is largely dead on arrival. They've listed a whole other things that they're going to talk about. So anyway, at this point, it's happening. And I will say that I think it's going to be a mess because the Democrats are out there. They're going to try to raise money on it. And you've got a situation where some of these professional protesters, they've already talked about how they're going to come back for the August session and protest. People who don't even live in the state of Tennessee are going to be here creating, chaos and a mockery, and who knows what else might spiral out of control in that situation. So I just think I just said, look, nothing that you have on this list could not wait until January. So why spend the money? Why give the Democrats a platform? Why let all these protesters who were sitting around doing nothing, twiddling their thumbs, they'll all make a beeline for Tennessee around the 21st, and they will make their presence known. And so that is happening. Okay. It is interesting, though. 3:00, we send a few people over to buzz their phone, and I'm sure people did. And then they issue it a couple hours later without the governor's signature. Seems like you'd at least sign it before you stick it out there. I guess that maybe the governor wasn't around. They'd figure, well, let's do this, get this out of the way, shut Wilson up. Okay, I got it. That's fine. But I will say this. I'm not alone in this. It's not just me. It's not just I have a hair up my, I shouldn't have said that. I'm not alone here. I don't know anybody in the state legislature who really wants this special session. I think that, when the governor calls it, you have to answer the bell, but I don't think they're excited about it. I don't think they really want to do it. It is an expense to the taxpayer, and it's a platform for the Democrats to create chaos, which they will. So, again, I understand we've got a situation where, something bad happened, and I think politicians, their instinct is when something bad happens, they rub their hands and say, well, we got to do something. And that's apparently what they're doing. All right, so let's move on. Some new topics. From the Trump case, we're looking at all these things that are swirling around Donald Trump right now. By the way, Donald Trump doing great in the numbers. He's not going to probably attend the debate on August 23rd that Fox is putting on. If he does, I don't know. Seems like it's not a great idea. He seems to be talking as if he's not going to do it. Not going to do it. So we'll watch it very closely, but I think he's out. But that doesn't mean that there aren't things happening. And as he put out the other day, and I think he was correct about it, all I really need is one more indictment. One more indictment, and I'm clear and free here. Because, every time I get indicted, my numbers go up.
Every time they file an indictment, we go way up in the polls. We need one more indictment to close out this election. One more indictment, and this election is closed out. Nobody has even a chance. We've already defeated the Republicans. They're at 2 and 3 and 1. They all want me to go, onto the debate stage. And I say, well, if we're at 71 and they're at 0, 1, 2, 3, some of them are at 4 or 5. I don't know. Does it really make a lot of sense? Does it really? I love to debate, but sometimes you don't want to be a fool. You want a smart president. You don't want a stupid president.
All right, so he's not going to that. He's not going to that debate, I don't think. But if he does, it'll be interesting to watch. A federal judge has suggested that the grand jury abuse may be happening in the classified documents case against Trump. This is not the one that he got indicted for the other day. This is about the documents over at Mar-a-Lago. In an order filed Monday morning in the classified documents case against President Donald Trump, Florida District Judge Eileen Cannon questioned, quote unquote, the legal propriety of prosecutors working for special counsel Jack Smith to use an out-of-district grand jury proceedings to continue to investigate. She also struck down the sealed filings of 2 prosecutors. That's interesting. The special counsel's motion for leave to file under seal is denied. The clerk is directed to strike from the docket sealed entries 95 and 96. Waltine Nauta shall file a response for the motion for Garcia hearing. Response shall address the legal propriety of using an out-of-district grand jury to continue to investigate or seek post-indictment hearings on matters pertinent to the instant indicted matter in the district. Well, I think that's interesting. She sort of shut down the prosecutors for doing something that smacks, it seems, of impropriety. So that's a victory for the Trump people, it seems to me. Trump election case, the judge has set a definite tone, according to the Epoch Times. District Judge Tanya Chutkan appears to have hinted at her attitude toward the defense of former President Donald Trump in the case involving Trump's efforts to reverse the outcome of the 2020 election. On Saturday, the judge denied Mr. Trump more time to respond to the gag order that the prosecutors have asked for. Some commentators have interpreted the order as Judge Chutkan signaling that she won't put up with delaying tactics on Mr. Trump's part. With Mr. Trump leading the leading contender for the GOP nomination, the timing of the case has important implications. Securing a conviction before the election could hurt his chances, but some have raised alarm over the order because it means the judge is letting political considerations affect her judgment. This again from the Epoch Times. The rule in D.C. courts is the defendant gets 14 days to respond to motions, explained defense attorney and former prosecutor William Shipley. The judge can shorten the deadline, but Mr. Shipley questioned why the judge insisted on giving Mr. Trump only 3 days. This is already creating a record of bias, he said in a tweet. There is no reason for the judge to set aside the local rule on the timeline to respond to motions. So, 3 days. I mean, I don't know. Lawyers can't even draft the first paragraph in 3 days. Takes a while. I think this judge has got it in for him. I think the judge is going to be against any motions for change of venue. This judge is going to make look. I think honestly, it is the weakest of all the cases that has been brought against Donald Trump. This latest case about the January 6th alleged abuses, I think is an incredibly weak case. And I think that, it's going to come down to being completely overturned by a court of appeals, or if it goes that far, to the Supreme Court. But that doesn't mean that in the short term, as we get closer and closer to elections, and it takes a while for that stuff to wind its way through the process, maybe you can get emergency consideration by the high court. They're already talking about going to the high court preemptively and saying, look, this is without merit. Let's dump it now. I don't know that you'll get that from the Supremes. They would like to see it work its way through the process. But at the end of the day, I don't think that part of the lawsuit stands at all. Not one whit of it will stand. So there you go. Now, on the Hunter Biden side of the equation, FBI's chief censor, person who censors information, I don't know. I didn't know the FBI had its own censor, made false statements under oath about Hunter Biden laptop suppression, according to Jim Jordan. FBI Special Agent Elvis Chan appeared to make false statements under oath about the Bureau's suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story ahead of the 2020 presidential election, Republican Ohio Representative Jim Jordan has revealed. Chan was the primary conduit between the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force and social media platforms leading up to the 2020 presidential election. And he appears to have lied about his meetings with tech companies regarding the Hunter Biden laptop story, according to new documents that Jordan has uncovered. Internal FBI docs reveal that an FBI special agent made false statements in testimony about the FBI's role in the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story, Jordan tweeted out yesterday. Chan and others at the FBI met with Facebook on October 14th of 2020 to discuss the Hunter Biden laptop story from the New York Post. Demlow testified in July to the House Judiciary Select Subcommittee on the weaponization of the federal government. I mean, did Demlow know that the FBI had the laptop and that they had already decided that it was real? Yes. Did other key members of the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force know? Yes. The FBI knew that laptop was real and yet decided it would say no comment. Chan testified in November as part of the Missouri versus Biden censorship lawsuit. And now Jim Jordan is saying, I believe he made false statements under oath. Well, that's interesting. And look, they were playing a game. They were playing a game. They were weaponizing the FBI. They were getting involved in politics, which is something that they're not supposed to do. We all know it. We all see it. And now the documents are coming out to not only confirm what we suspected, but to bring this case closer and closer to resolution. Listen, I'm telling you, I hope that there are referrals, and I hope that some of these people who were acting improperly within the upper ranks of the FBI and the DOJ, I hope they go to jail. It is 51 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. Let's talk about Everseal. What is it? Well, it's a sealant that's been around in industrial applications forever. It's been around for a long time. And the folks over at Everseal basically took this industrial application and figured out how to provide a permanent solution for sealing your exterior wood and concrete at a price that home and business owners can actually afford. Now, the process, if you don't know, starts with a deep cleaning. They go to your wood, they clean it up, they power wash it, they make it look as good as it possibly can look, and then their patented seal will absorb all the way through to become a permanent part of your wood and concrete to prevent any further deterioration for the next 30 to 50 years. 30 to 50 years. Now, think about how much money you'll save over that time. Just think about your deck. You do that every year, don't you? Most people do. You do your deck 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Think of all the money you'll save. Think about 30 years. Think about, other things. Think about how much money you'll save and the fact that you don't have to spend your time doing that each year. You can do it once and forget it. I think it's a great idea, and if you think it is, why don't you reach out to Steve Nelson and the team over at Everseal? They will take it from there. 1-844-EVER-USA. That's 1-844-EVER-USA. Learn more by going to their website, ever-seal.com.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. There was a recent study by J.D. Power looking at how happy investors were with their advisors, and it wasn't pretty. What they found was only 11% of the respondents said that they were getting comprehensive financial planning, that the fees were clear, and that they felt that the advisor was acting in their best interest. Not a good picture, 11%. Now, one of the things that we do is we do comprehensive planning. We fit all of those bills, number one. But one of the things I want to talk about is in the financial planning process, what I think it ought to look like and what is available that people aren't getting. And one of the things is called probability analysis. So in essence, this is what we're talking about. We're trying to accumulate money for retirement, put money aside, hoping that we'll have enough so that we can have income throughout retirement. And what we find is that people have Social Security, they have pensions in their financial plan, and they also have investments. Now, with their investments, we want to do something very specific that it really requires quite an academic background to do this. And this is where we look at the cost of capital of the various things that you own in your investment portfolio. It sounds scary, it sounds really detailed, but here's the idea. Is if we look at various asset classes like large stocks and small stocks and large value and bonds and so on and so forth, we know the expected return or the cost that these entities have to pay to use your money. So we can come up with an expected return of the portfolio. We can also come up with what's called standard deviation, or how much that portfolio return may deviate from the expected return. Now that's a whole other video, but what I want to do is show you how we use this. If I look at a financial plan and I say, well, you got this area, this area, this area, what I can do is I can say, well, based on when you want to retire, this is how much income you can take, and here's the likelihood of being able to have this income survive throughout your entire life. And the way it works is this. If I take a portfolio and I say, there's the expected return, I can look at history and say, well, the way your portfolio is designed, how might your one-year returns vary from the expected return, the long-term expected return? Well, what we know from academic research is that portfolios well designed and properly managed in ways that I can't get into right now, it's too complicated. Portfolios actually close in an expected return, but we don't know what the short-term returns are going to be. So what we do is we project out and say, well, what if the return that happened in 1936 is followed by the return that happened in 1975, which is followed by the return in 1995, or what if it's reversed? What if they happen in different orders? And we can do 1,000 iterations, different variations on when those and how those returns may come in. And what that does is, because we can't predict the future, what return's going to follow the other, we can figure out, is it likely that we are going to be able to take the income that we need throughout retirement from this portfolio? And if not, how can we rearrange the furniture or the portfolio to give us a higher likelihood of success? And we look at life expectancies, we look at a lot of different things, but this is what is available to people that they're not getting from the financial planning community. If you want to know more, go to paulwinkler.com, set up a free 15-minute phone call, paulwinkler.com, and come in and find out more about what we do.
Let me tell you about the Wellness Institute of Nashville, 615-246-5009. Everything there starts with a phone call for an appointment. And let me tell you, if you are a new patient, they've got a deal for you. The 2023 special. Exam, consultation, x-rays if needed. Bring in an MRI if you got one. Sit down, visit with Dr. Kevin Mitchell, go over your condition. He'll come up with a plan for recovery and healing. And listen, just call that number, 615-246-5009. Your first consult, if you're a new patient, is $23. Listen, you know how I feel about their non-surgical spinal decompression. I've gone through a whole series of those treatments, and I think it really helped my neck and my lower back. Dr. Kevin and Dr. Ashley Mitchell now offer the first of its kind KT machine. It's like spinal decompression, but it's for your knee. The idea here is that you gently elongate the knee and joint and allow the meniscus and the cartilage to receive the healing therapy without the need for surgery or without the need for painkillers. Sound like a great idea? Listen, you're going to love your visit with Dr. Kevin Mitchell. Just start with the phone call, 615-246-5009. That's 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Six o'clock. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. 84 degrees right now and a nice calm day in Nashville. The possibility for severe weather will join Middle Tennessee tomorrow afternoon. Forecast latest traffic report on the way in 5 minutes. Governor Lee has officially proclaimed August 21st for the date of the special session on public safety in Tennessee. That proclamation states the General Assembly will consider legislation regarding mental health resources and school safety plans. And this announcement of a special session came in April after the tragic Covenant school shooting happened, and the governor wanted to make quick strides towards safer schools in Tennessee. In Alabama, authorities in Montgomery tracked down suspects in a brawl that's gone viral. Derek Dennis with the latest.
Suspects turning themselves in after the Montgomery riverfront brawl involving a black dock worker attacked by a group of white boaters with black and white witnesses then coming to his defense. 3 men, 48, 23, and 25 years old, all white, answering assault warrants issued by Police Chief Darrell Albert, who says Saturday's brawl, caught on various cell phone video, should not be a reflection of Montgomery.
We're about a good time, enjoying ourselves and being neighborly. So it was quite disturbing.
The chief identifying the victims as dock worker Damian Pickett and a white 16-year-old, both attacked in the melee.
In Smyrna, Channel 4 says that an employee at the Nissan complex who was hospitalized back in July due to a work-related incident has now died. The spokesperson for the branch said, quote, "We're saddened at this loss of a supplier employee who was a valued member of the Smyrna team. Our deepest condolences go out to his family, friends, and colleagues at this difficult time, and the safety and well-being of our team members continues to be the company's top priority," end quote. And advocates are pushing to add abortion to the ballot in several states come 2024, including most recently Arizona. Ann Flaherty has more.
A new political action committee in Arizona is asking the state to put the question of abortion rights to voters next year. Arizona for Abortion Access, a group backed by Planned Parenthood and the ACLU, has proposed a constitutional amendment that would guarantee the right to an abortion in the state. Democrats are pushing similar measures in other battleground states like Florida in a bid to juice turnout among its supporters.
And the FAA handing the FBI 22 new cases of unruly passengers this year. Alex Stone.
When somebody does something illegal on board a flight, the FAA can fine them, but the FAA is not a law enforcement agency, so it doesn't criminally investigate that person. That's the job of the FBI. And so the FAA is handing the FBI a batch of 22 new cases ranging from people smoking on board planes to assaulting a flight crew to making terrorist threats for criminal investigations and eventually possibly federal charges. Unruly passenger reports spiked during the pandemic. Many sparked over mask rules on board planes. Reports have come down by over 80%.
And that is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. This is The Drive on the 8th day of August, 8/8. Glad that you're with us. Glad that you are sharing time with us in your car. We don't take it for granted. We know that very much that, we're blessed to have you as a listener, and we appreciate you. We do. Thank you for listening. I will be out of here tomorrow. I got to go in for a little, I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but I'm about to have my heart zapped tomorrow. Really, honestly, I don't think that's good in advance. I think we just wait for, I've got to go in, and it's an irregular heartbeat thing. It's nothing big, but it's an in and out process, and I'm going to be out. I would rather be up front with you about what it is rather than, have somebody misunderstand. Not going on no vacation, not taking a day off. I'm literally going to be at 05:30 in the morning having my heart zapped. Ugh! That hurts. I hope I don't feel it in the morning. I hope that they have me, I'm supposed to be out. As I talked to them today, and they said, oh, no, you'll have anesthesia. I said, good.
If not, you won't have any need for the coffee in the morning.
That's right.
That would wake you up.
Yeah, that'll wake you up. Yeah, no, it's an in and out thing. I'll be back on Thursday. So, Des Dickerson's going to be here tomorrow. Please treat him nicely. He's a good guy. Let me start this hour by talking about, there's a lot of economic news, and I think it's pretty interesting. One of them is sort of economically related. Let me just get this one out of the way. I had not read this, but I am finding it today on the web that Anheuser-Busch is now selling 8 of its beloved brands as the Bud Light drama plagues its business. It's been months since the onset of the Bud Light controversy, but the decision to dive headfirst into the thicket of American culture wars is still catching up with Anheuser-Busch. The data suggests Bud Light is hurting. As of the week of July 29th, Bud Light sales dropped for the 17th straight week in a row, down 29% year over year. Whew. Following the company's decision to partner with transgender social media personality Dylan Mulvaney. Its financials may not be cheery, but its struggles extend beyond the accounting books. Bud Light lost out as the most popular beer in America to Modelo. Images on social media now regularly pop up showing Bud Light being sold for less than water. Wow. Then in late July, Bud Light parent company Anheuser-Busch made the difficult decision to cut thousands of employees. The job cuts affected approximately 2% of its workforce, about 350 people. The company claimed most corporate employees were affected, calling the move a very difficult but necessary decision. And so they're now is Anheuser-Busch, they say, is selling several of its brands to a Canadian company as it weathers the unfortunate storm. The bans will go to Tilray, a Canadian consumer goods company publicly listed on the NASDAQ, which owns several cannabis and craft brew companies under its brand. According to early reports, Anheuser-Busch will sell the following brands to Tilray. Anheuser-Busch president, then they don't list it. I'm sorry. Company's decision to sell 8 brands on its international conglomerate. Okay. The sale was expected to go through later in 2023, will propel Tilray to the 5th spot as the largest craft brewer in the U.S. YouGov survey ranked the following beers as the most popular in America as of the second quarter of 2023. Guinness, Corona, Heineken, Samuel Adams, Blue Moon. So there you go there.
The brands that they're selling, I did find the list. They are Shock Top, which is a Colorado-based Breckenridge, the Colorado-based Breckenridge Brewery. That's another brand. A New York-based Blue Point Brewing, Seattle-based Red Hook Brewing, 10 Barrel Brewing Company of Bend, Oregon, Portland-based Widmer Brothers Brewing, and Square Mile Cider Company. Oh, and the San Francisco-based energy drink company, Highball Energy.
So these are basically some of their craft brews.
Yes, yeah.
Probably they're not the most important things in their portfolio, but nonetheless, why would you sell them? Because the company's under duress. The company's under a lot of duress. Interesting. Well, there you go. Now for some economic news. As credit card debt tops $1 trillion for the very first time. Think about that for a moment. Americans owe their credit cards $1 trillion. That's, trillion here, trillion there. Now you're talking about some pretty serious money. Total credit card debt rose nearly 5%, or about $45 billion in the second quarter, according to CNBC, to a new high of $1.03 trillion, according to a new report on household debt from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Though delinquency rates, now that's the thing to watch, is not so much how much debt has been accrued, although that's a big number. It's how many people fall into delinquency. It's still low by historical standards, but rising balances may present challenges for some borrowers going forward, especially when student loan payments resume this fall, according to the New York Fed. The resumption of student loan payments will be a huge test for many. I tell you what I think's going on here. I think that inflation is still a problem for a lot of people in America. They go to the grocery store, and they've got to put food on the table, and they just don't have the money to do it because inflation is running away faster at a higher rate than people's increases in salary. So they've been falling backwards during all of this wonderful thing that the Biden people seem so proud of called Bidenomics. I wouldn't be so proud of it if I were them. And so they keep going backwards, and they can't pay for it at the grocery store. They simply can't pay for food. So what do? Well, you put it on your credit card. You're going to feed your family, right? But credit cards are really expensive right now, and interest rates are going up, because they're trying to kill inflation by raising interest rates. People are really going to be hurting, and as we told you yesterday, get ready for another round of inflation because gasoline prices are going up dramatically. I don't know how they're going to fix that problem because they've drained about as much out of the petroleum reserve as they possibly can. And so interest rates are going to go up because what happens? Gasoline prices, oil prices go up. It hits every sector of the economy. Nothing causes inflation to run rampant faster than high fuel cost. And I don't know how they're going to solve this problem because the other people in the world who sell oil are putting a squeeze on us. We don't have any more money. We've been artificially holding the price of oil and gas down, oil especially, because we've been releasing oil from the strategic reserve. We just can't do that forever. It's at the lowest rate that it's been since 1983. So the end result of that is oil and gas cost more. It takes oil and gas and energy in some form to get all things to the market, whether it's by ship and by truck or by train or by a car or whatever. Everything requires energy to get to market, and it hits the economy very bad. So look, the economy is not doing well. We're talking about the fact that inflation could be coming back as a result of that. And that means that they're not going to be able to lower interest rates anytime soon. And this credit card thing is getting to be a concern. Listen, inflation, if it goes up, there'll be more and more people who just can't make ends meet, as we are seeing right now. And they'll have to be putting it on a credit card. Not good. Here's another sign flashing yellow, almost red. More Americans are tapping their 401k accounts because of financial distress, according to the Bank of America data released today. The number of people who have made hardship withdrawals during the second quarter surged from the first 3 months of the year to an increase of 36% in the second quarter of 2022. According to Bank of America's analysis of clients' employees' benefits program, which are comprised of more than 4 million plan participants, it's a pretty troubling development if more people are resorting to making hardship withdrawals. You understand why people do that in the heat of the moment, but the opportunity cost are what are really, really high over time. Yeah, you don't want to do this if you can avoid it. I mean, it is a bad thing. It really hurts you. This is money that you've stuck back for your retirement. And if you're having to go to your 401k and make a hardship withdrawal, then you are taking money that you had put aside for your retirement. And again, sometimes, eventually, those chickens come home to roost. You get old enough to retire, you don't have any money. This is, again, welcome to Bidenomics. And then this one, which, there's some, what do you want to call them? Some stocks out there that are bellwether stocks. You know that when they're doing well, it's a good sign that the economy is doing well. One of them is, like things like Caterpillar, John Deere. Well, you look at those and you say, well, if people are buying Caterpillar bulldozers, it's because construction is going up. People are spending money to build, and the economy is generally booming when that happens. John Deere, it just, farmers buy during times of prosperity, and then they hold tight, and they don't buy John Deere products for their farm when money is tight. And so those are bellwether stocks. I'm going to give you a couple of more. Home Depot and Lowe's. Housing market beleaguered by rising mortgage rates and falling home sales. Analysts at the Telsey Advisory Group downgraded Lowe's and Home Depot stock on Tuesday amid a housing market weakened by falling home sales and mortgage increases. The New York-based financial planner and brokerage firm said existing home sales have declined for several quarters now because of the rapid increase in the 30-year mortgage, 30-year mortgage rate, limited inventory, and lower affordability, indicating a bottoming of the house market. You see, what happens is when you buy a house, you immediately, I've spent the last year at Lowe's or Home Depot or at my local Watertown hardware store, which also serves as the Masonic Temple, just in case you forgot. I spent a lot of money there because I'm working on my house. I'm trying to get things up. But I got in at 5%. I got into the market when interest rates were only at 5%. Now, that's not the best interest rate, but it's not the worst interest rate. It's gotten a lot worse for people now. The housing marketing is bottoming, and that means that people are not making as many trips to Lowe's. Oh, sure. On a Saturday in the spring, sure, there's a lot of people there buying flowers and bushes. Man, I mean, you ever go to Lowe's when it's planting season?
I try to avoid it.
Yeah, I try to as well. But, I mean, they're not making the big investments at Lowe's that they usually make. And so I think, the fact that Home Depot and Lowe's stock has been downgraded, another sign that Bidenomics is not all it's cracked up to be. But Joe Biden, you go right ahead touting that. You go right ahead telling everybody how great Bidenomics is, because I don't see it myself. 20 minutes now past the hour. All right, here's the thing. If you have air conditioning problems, boy, this time of year, you want to get right on it. August is not the time for your air conditioning to be failing. But if it goes out and it's a little warm and moist around the house, well, just call this number, 615-775-7833. The folks from Busy Bee will buzz right over to your hive and get you going. Now, listen, maybe you have reached a point, and it doesn't happen for about 20 years, but you may have reached a point where you've got to do something about that HVAC system. It needs to be replaced. Maybe you got plumbing issues that need to be replaced. You're not going to find a better value on HVAC and plumbing replacement systems than you will at Busy Bee. I would suggest you become a member of the Beehive Club. This is all about preventative maintenance. As a member of the Beehive Club, costs you as little as $99. You get 3 thorough maintenance services on your systems, one aimed at heating, one aimed at cooling, one aimed at your plumbing. No overtime charges 24/7 and 10% off all repairs. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 775-7833, online at busybeehvac.com. It is 26 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Coming up at 7 o'clock after the news, Mark Levin will step in here and carry on. Yesterday, there was a hearing, and it was about, it was to hear from the families of those who were lost in the disastrous evacuation from Afghanistan. It was a political decision on behalf of the Biden administration. It was a bad decision. They wanted to do it, even though all of the military officials told them it's a bad idea. We need to do this more slowly. Maybe we don't need to do it at all, one way or the other. It was rushed. It was disastrous. And then because of the chaos, U.S. soldiers died. And so they had a hearing yesterday to hear from these family members. And the one that just stands out is Cheryl Rex, Gold Star mother of Dylan Merola, who talked about how the president came to see them and tried to find common ground in a bizarre way. And here we go. This is Cheryl Rex, Gold Star mom of late soldier Dylan Merola, who died in Afghanistan.
When Joe Biden, our elected president, entered the room, when he approached me, his words to me were, my wife Jill and I know how you feel. We lost our son as well and brought him home in a flag-draped coffin. My heart started beating faster, and I started shaking knowing that their son died from cancer and they were able to be by his side. Also wondering how someone could honestly, be so heartless to say he knew how I felt a little over 24 hours and learning of my son's death. After this encounter, I have never had any personal correspondence, nor has my son been honored or his name spoken by this commander-in-chief or his administration on what I feel is because of their failures and poor planning to exit our troops from Afghanistan.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, but it is the story about how Joe Biden said, we understand your pain.
My heart started beating faster, and I started shaking knowing that their son died from cancer and they were able to be by his side.
Well, that's not what happened. That's simply not what happened. Beau Biden died of cancer stateside. He was not sent home in a flag-draped coffin. I don't know where Joe Biden gets this. It never happened. Seems like the one thing you would remember is how your son died. He tells this story all the time. Beau came back in a flag-draped coffin. That never happened. He came back, and yes, he had complications from cancer, and maybe some of that had to do with the things he was exposed to overseas. But one way or the other, he did not come home in a coffin covered by an American flag. That never happened, and it's painful to these people. Gold Star mom Kelly Barnett says she never got an apology.
That would have been something. I understand war is hell. I understand that. But no, we didn't get that. Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, Staff Sergeant Ryan Christian Knaus, Sergeant Nicole G, Sergeant Johanny Rosario Picardo, Corporal Humberto Sanchez, Corporal Hunter Lopez, Corporal William Deegan Page, Lance Corporal David Lee Espinosa, Lance Corporal Riley J. McCullum, Lance Corporal Dylan R. Merola, Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nakui, Lance Corporal Jared M. Schmitz, Corpsman Maxton W. Soviak. They deserve justice.
It is 6:30 now on Super Talk 99.7. If you're in the market for a pole barn, the two brothers that run Stoltz Co., two guys you need to talk with. Exceptional quality, craftsmanship, and fair prices. They can build your new pole barn to your specifications with your needs in mind. That is the Stoltz Co. difference. You can use pole barns for all kinds of things. It can function as a classic tool and work barn, a garage, or even a place to live. Flexibility is the key. They combine the classic post-frame barn look with the reliability of modern materials and techniques to give you a finished barn that will withstand the test of time. They do not scrimp on quality. They do not cut corners. They believe their customers deserve only the best. So, listen, go to their website, stoltzco.com. That's STOLTZCO.com, and take a look. And you're going to find out pretty quickly, this isn't your grandpappy's pole barn. This is something new. This is something different. This is something better. Then give them a call at 615-622-5992 and talk about what you need, see what kind of cut deal they can cut you. I think you're going to be well pleased, and you really need to go to stoltzco.com. Here's the number again, 615-622-5992. Learn more at stoltzco.com. "38 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air. Glad that you're with us. A few more minutes we'll be here, and then we will seed the stage, and there'll be a little bit of news, and then Mark Levin. He's here. I love it when they do that. I wanted something like that. I thought I want somebody. He's here. You know how Levin starts his show?
Oh yeah.
Love that. Oh yeah, love that. That's great. So, mine starts with Hit it.
That's pretty good, too.
Pro tip. You want to know what that's from?
Oh, I know what it's from.
You know what it's from. You know where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
The Hit It is John Belushi from the Blues Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Where he says, it's 6 o'clock. We have our sunglasses on. Hit it.
That's not exactly what's said.
Well, I know. I'm not good at quoting movies, but that's where it came from. Don't tell anybody. It's our secret, okay? This is a pretty shocking story. I've seen this, and I can't believe it. Now, if you ever wanted to know whether or not the folks at Burisma were excited about their relationship with Hunter Biden and Devon Archer way back in as early as 2014, when Joe Biden was then the vice president in the Obama administration, this story right here, this is going to get you. Listen up, listen up, listen up. Hunter Biden and his business associates told Ukrainian energy firm Burisma to remove a picture of then Vice President Joe Biden and Burisma board member Devon Archer from its website. Emails from the Hunter Biden laptop archive show. Well, this laptop just is the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? May of 2014. Then Vice President Biden's counsel, Demetra Lambros, told Eric Schwerin, a business associate at Hunter Biden's investment firm Rosemont Seneca Partners, to have Burisma remove an image of Joe Biden and Archer from its website, according to emails from Biden's laptop archive. Now, I'm gonna give you some of this back and forth, okay? Hey guys, Schwerin said in a May 13, 2014 email to Hunter Biden and Archer. There's apparently a photo of Devon and the VP on Burisma's website. The counsel for the vice president's office, Demetra, called and asked that we tell Burisma that they need to take it down. Legally, I can't imagine why, they're not comfortable with the VP's picture being on the site in what seems to be an endorsement. Schwerin was referring to then Vice President's counsel's Demetra Lambros, who President Biden appointed in June 2021 to serve as chair of the President's Commission on White House Fellowships. She previously worked with Biden in 1996 as general counsel of the Senate Judiciary Committee, then under Democrat Delaware Senator Joe Biden's chairmanship. Thanks, Eric, Archer responded. Hunter got the call, and it's down. Was put up without authorization. Just on a board call now, and we'll call you this afternoon. Looks like it may have been taken down finally on the site. Cool, Schwerin followed up. Thanks, I'll let them know in case they haven't seen it. Now, the image of Joe Biden and Devon Archer does not appear on a version of Burisma website archived the following day. The now-defunct Burisma website previously featured profiles of Hunter Devon Archer on its board of directors page. I mean, they put a picture of Devon Archer and the vice president on their website. What do you think the purpose of that was? I think the purpose of that was to show the world that, we've got friends in high places, right? This at a time when Hunter Biden and his associates are being paid millions of dollars by Burisma, even though they have absolutely no skills whatsoever. And at this point, Hunter Biden is basically a crack addict. Amazing. Amazing. I think this story is going to reverberate. I mean, if we can find this picture and find the web, in the Wayback Machine and find out, where this picture is and all that, I think it will be probably one of the most damning things that we've heard of so far. These people were buying influence, and they knew it, and they wanted to advertise the fact to the world, and they had a picture of Vice President Biden and Devon Archer on their website to suggest, come mess with us, you're messing with the vice president, you're messing with the Obama administration, and it's not going to end well. That just came down just a short while ago. Keep an eye on that one. You'll hear more about that tomorrow. Want to move to issues on the border, really serious issues on the border. This one is just infuriating, and it's so deeply saddening because although the fact that I'm going to tell you about some kids that got rescued down on the border It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder how many got across that were not interdicted by police. State troopers. This is the Texas State Patrol. This is the Department of Public Safety. This is not the Border Patrol. This is not ICE. I'm sure they have done things like this as well. This is just the Border Patrol. State troopers are arresting criminals, including sex offenders and those in possession of child pornography. Though Texas Border Security Mission Operation Lone Star, through the border, let me do that again. Through Texas Border Security Mission Operation Lone Star, Texas DPS troopers have rescued over 900 children being smuggled into and through Texas from Mexico by human traffickers. 900 children have been rescued by the Texas Department of Public Safety. Well, how many got through? How many did not get interdicted? Because we know that there are there are the known gotaways, then there are the unknown gotaways. There's a lot of people who get through without any interaction from law enforcement, and a good portion of them could be young children. Among them, for example, a recent rescue in Maverick County, Eagle Pass, where troopers found a 5-year-old Honduran girl had been smuggled into Texas by 3 adult women not related to her. The women found the girl in Piedras Negras, Mexico, brought her with them as they crossed illegally into Texas between the ports of entry. Authorities said she was being brought to reunite with her mother. However, her mother had died 3 days prior. The girls told troopers her father was still in Honduras. She was turned over to Border Patrol. This happened 900 times. Now, look, this is pretty crass politics, if you ask me. You've got the President of the United States basically handcuffing the Border Patrol and ICE and telling them that, we're gonna basically let as many of these people through as we possibly can. By opening the borders, it is a magnet for all kinds of chaos. And people are coming in, and what we're finding is a lot of people are coming to this country, and they do not have our best interest at heart. That seems to be pretty clear. Some of them have no doubt gotten into this country that were on the security, the National Security Watch List and the travel watch list. And so, they have gotten into the country. We're getting all kinds of fentanyl into the country, and it's ending up in your backyard where people that are dying because of the exposure to fentanyl. That's happening. And it's all caused by the chaos of ignoring the laws that require the President of the United States to focus on the border, to protect our border. This is sad. This is ridiculously sad and tragic that the Texas Department of Public Safety is put in a position that they have had to rescue 900 smuggled children. My heart aches for those who did not get interdicted by the Texas Department of Public Safety. And they're out there. How in the world, for what seem to be crass political purposes, can you possibly justify what we're doing when it creates so much chaos, so much tragedy? It's a magnet for all kinds of bad behavior when you tell people, hey, the borders are pretty much open. You say, well, they're really not. Well, yes, they are. Because, almost everybody who comes across gets a slip of paper, gets sent on your way. Hey, we'll talk to you later, don't worry. And then they disappear into the fabric of America. That's what's happening. That's happening so much. Images show men armed with rifle, body armor coming across the southern border. All I want to say about this story is they have pictures on the Fox News website of some of these people who work for the drug cartels, and they are dressed in a lot of tactical gear. They've got body armor. They've got high, really powerful guns. Border Patrol agents, including the agency's BORTAC tactical unit, were deployed in the area, found nothing. But this is cartel folks, and they are in control down there. and I would say in some cases better armed than our people. Not that our people, with the exception of the Texas Department of Public Safety, is all that interested in trying to stop what's going on down there. They can tell you that they are, but they're not. Massachusetts governor declares a state of emergency due to the surge of migrants. In New York City, for example, I saw a statistic today that there are 93,000 illegal immigrants in New York City. The federal government gave New York City $104.5 million to try to help them out, and that's enough to help them for 14 days. And New York City, which was, I remember, it was a sanctuary city. Oh, our arms are open wide. Please come to New York. You know, we're not like those mean old Republicans. We will welcome you with open arms. Now they don't want anything to do with them. They want them out of there. They're whining because it's costing them a lot. Well, that's what happens when you open your mouth and say you're going to be a sanctuary city. Massachusetts governor has declared a state of emergency due to the surge of migrants in the state of Massachusetts. 20,000 there. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. You know, if you go to Genesis Diamonds this week, don't be surprised if you happen to see other jewelry store owners there shopping. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price. That's right, the vault is open, and Genesis is selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock-bottom prices, now for a very limited time. The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality so you can buy with confidence. Every Genesis engagement ring is included in the event, from half carat to 20 carats, all shapes, rounds, radiants, pear shapes, princess cuts, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, ovals. There's never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for the best selection. It's Genesis Diamond GIA Diamond Extravaganza. Save an extra 20% on their rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please, exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. There was a recent study by J.D. Power looking at how happy investors were with their advisors, and it wasn't pretty. What they found was only 11% of the respondents said that they were getting comprehensive financial planning, that the fees were clear, and that they felt that the advisor was acting in their best interest. Not a good picture, 11%. Now, one of the things that we do is we do comprehensive planning. We fit all of those bills, number one. But one of the things I want to talk about is in the financial planning process, what I think it ought to look like and what is available that people aren't getting. And one of the things is called probability analysis. So in essence, this is what we're talking about. We're trying to accumulate money for retirement, put money aside, hoping that we'll have enough so that we can have income throughout retirement. And what we find is that people have Social Security, they have pensions in their financial plan, and they also have investments. Now, with their investments, we want to do something very specific that it really requires quite an academic background to do this. And this is where we look at the cost of capital of the various things that you own in your investment portfolio. It sounds scary, it sounds really detailed, but here's the idea. Is if we look at various asset classes like large stocks and small stocks and large value and bonds and so on and so forth, we know the expected return or the cost that these entities have to pay to use your money. So we can come up with an expected return of the portfolio. We can also come up with what's called standard deviation, or how much that portfolio return may deviate from the expected return. Now that's a whole other video, but what I want to do is show you how we use this. If I look at a financial plan and I say, well, you got this area, this area, this area, what I can do is I can say, well, based on when you want to retire, this is how much income you can take, and here's the likelihood of being able to have this income survive throughout your entire life. And the way it works is this. If I take a portfolio and I say, there's the expected return, I can look at history and say, well, the way your portfolio is designed, how might your one-year returns vary from the expected return, the long-term expected return? Well, what we know from academic research is that portfolios well designed and properly managed in ways that I can't get into right now, it's too complicated, portfolios actually close in an expected return, but we don't know what the short-term returns are going to be. So what we do is we project out and say, well, what if the return that happened in 1936 is followed by the return that happened in 1975, which is followed by the return in 1995, or what if it's reversed? What if they happen in different orders? And we can do 1,000 iterations, different variations on when those and how those returns may come in. And what that does is, because we can't predict the future, what return's going to follow the other, we can figure out, is it likely that we are going to be able to take the income that we need throughout retirement from this portfolio? And if not, how can we rearrange the furniture or the portfolio to give us a higher likelihood of success? And we look at life expectancies, we look at a lot of different things, but this is what is available to people that they're not getting from the financial planning community. If you want to know more, go to paulwinkler.com, set up a free 15-minute phone call, paulwinkler.com, and come in and find out more about what we do.